All right, what's up? Welcome to the Dyer Show, jaysanalysis.com. Hope you guys enjoyed the festivities, the wildness, the intensity of that 4+ hour debate. It was a lot of fun. Today we are not going to do a debate review. That's going to be something I'll do in the next probably week or so, maybe 2 weeks, with some of our buddies, David Erhan and maybe Kai, maybe some other people. We'll see who joins us, maybe FDA. But I appreciate the end of the debate because if you did watch all the way to the end, the post-debate banter that did make it onto the stream, I appreciate Tim conceding the Filioque part. Of course, I think he didn't win any of the parts. In fact, he also admitted that he was mixed up privately to me on Universal Ordinary Magisterium after the debate. Would have been nice if he had admitted that during the stream, but I'll take what I can get, so I appreciate him conceding at least the Filioque part. But I don't think that any of the other parts were justified or vindicated either from his vantage point. For one, because, of course, simply reiterating the papal interpretation of the passages in the Bible doesn't prove that Jesus established the papacy in the sense of what Vatican I mandates Roman Catholics and the world to believe the papacy is, and to believe that that's what was established early in the first century. In other words, Satis Cognitum specifically says that the Vatican I idea of the papacy is not new, but was what was set up at the beginning. And I don't think he demonstrated that because he can't. It's similar to the exact same discussion that I had with his brother. If you don't remember, we did do a debate with his brother, Dave Gordon. And the progress of that debate was very similar. I always forget the name of this. Shit, what is the name of that debate? I can never find it because it's on a weird channel. I I'll never find it. I know you guys have linked it many times. Because they titled it something weird, and it never comes up in the search. But anyway, you'll notice very similar parallels between the two debates. Yeah, I mean, I like Tim a lot. I haven't had any interaction with Dave Gordon since this time. And there was a Baptist pastor. It was a 3-way debate. And I don't know. Can you guys remember what it's called? It's the one where Bryson shows up. Yeah. Bryson Gray pops up and he's like,
what about the passage that talk about following the law? Y'all don't believe that?
Anyway, it was the exact same debate, pretty much. I do think Tim is a better apologist, but as we saw, it was really just kind of a reliance on standard quote mines without context. So I don't really see any. I think a lot of Roman Catholics were shook, and not just because of this, but it's been a bad couple months for the Roman Catholics because not only was this debate about 3 big issues pretty much a loss across the board. 75% I won, 25% Roman Catholics coping. But also we had the whole fiasco of Muslims, Christians, and Jews worship the same God, and that one was a big L for the Roman Catholics. Yeah, somebody put the title of that. Let me see what it is. Yeah, we're not going to do a debate recap in review right now because I'm going to save that for doing it with Lewis and Kai. I just saw somebody put the title of the debate in there, and now I can't find it. There it is. Orthodox Catholic Theology, Dr. Easley. I can never remember that boomer's name. He was like the most smug dude ever, though. That was funny. Yeah, if you watch this debate, you'll notice Roman Catholics pretty much run a script. Okay, and see, it still doesn't come up. It's because they title it something different on YouTube. Here we go. IDG Presents. That's why, because it's on Mike's channel, and he gave it some title that nobody can ever find. Probably on purpose, because the Catholics didn't do very well. So, if you go watch this debate with Tim's brother, Dave Gordon, it's kind of a repeat scenario. Anyway, it's not looking good for Roman Catholics. They're beat down. But, you know, they really have a lot of challenges. They have a lot of things they got to try to make sense of. So, really the heavy lifting is on their side to make this stuff. Yeah, Marilyn made a good point. That debate ended up converting Gina to become Orthodox. Yeah. Mike is still sassy and fussy. He talks a lot of shit, and he won't come debate. So I ended up blocking him, and he's still mad but it's like, dude, you just talk shit and you don't do anything about it. Like, what's the point of interacting? But today we're going to start with some other stuff. One of the things that came up, I'm aware that Nick has mentioned the debate. I saw the clips. Yeah, you guys, like, anytime somebody mentions me, 50 people send me the clips. I'm aware. You know, when people keep mentioning me and saying stuff, I assume they're looking for debate. I assume they're looking for something, kind of interaction. And then you talk about it. Oh, look at him ankle biting. Okay, yeah, whatever. You know, you can't win. So no matter how you go about it, it's just, that's why I don't even associate with most of that sphere. And beyond this, really, I don't think there's any need for continued Roman Catholic debates. It's about it. Like, there's nothing else. I mean, Tim pretty much solidified all the major critiques that we've had. They don't know our position. They're ignorant of it. They're not going to understand it. They don't care to read it. They're going to do quote mines, and they're going to say crazy things like the Spirit spirates himself, God's glory is a creature. There is no evidence for a geopolitical power of the papacy in the first millennium. There we go. That's pretty much a concession to all the critiques that we make. And it's pretty much all the stuff that's, again, admitted in the Alexandria Chieti documents, that kind of stuff. So what's the point of continuing the same Roman Catholic debate? I thought Cleave to Antiquity had a really good comment. Again, we're not covering the debate today. We'll do that in the next few days with Erhan. Cleave to Antiquity had a pretty good comment that a lot of Roman Catholics just assume between the two positions that Protestant Catholics have a better argument against Protestants, and they become low information converts. And then they kind of get in this rut where they just kind of spin the wheels when any significant challenges are brought to Orthodox, and it just ends up being quote mines, Maquis, submit to the papacy, Jesus established a papacy. It's like, I don't care what contradictions or problems happen within the last 2,000 years, Jesus established the papacy. So they have a sola scriptura mindset about defending the papacy from the text of Scripture, which is odd because they should understand that it's the tradition of the church that interprets the text, as they always tell the Protestants. But when it comes to debating with the Orthodox, we're going to try to go sola scriptura, prove the papacy from the text of Scripture. But the text of Scripture don't teach the Vatican I view of the papacy. And that's what he needed to demonstrate, because that's what you're bound to. You're not bound to the idea of a papacy that you then, as a Roman Catholic, interject into it whatever ideas and positions you think it is. You're bound to the dogmatic definitions of the Roman Church itself, and about its understanding of the text. That's what he needed to demonstrate, not the eisegesis of reading today's or Vatican I's interpretation back 2,000 years into those texts. That's what was, I think, the biggest fail. He would have done a lot better too. Again, that's the last thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to say when we're going to move on. We're going to do this real review later this week. I don't want to spoil too much of the comments afterwards. There's a million clips going up, which is great. I've sent Tim links, articles, books for 5 years. So the first time I talked to Tim and we discussed doing this debate was 5 years ago. And it's very similar to other Roman Catholics who have disagreed with me on this topic. If after and I understand Tim has a large family, he's very busy. 5 years. If after 5 years they're not going to read our material, there's no point in doing the debate, because it's just doing it for, promoting Catholicism, promoting the channel. I don't fault him for wanting to promote his position and promote his channel. I'm just saying, like, it would be a much better debate if you had actually read the source material. Number one, from the Cappadocians. Number two, from our secondary theologians or academics that are neither Roman Catholic or Orthodox, or Sashensky, who went from Catholic to Orthodox. But, well, he's busy. He's got his own. Okay, but I understand you're busy, but if you're going to agree to a debate and you want to understand the position, and I've sent you the links in the books for 5 years, you should have done it. So, yeah. And yes, I saw my material is gay. Do you want to come on and debate? Zach Silvas. Zach, let me know if you'd like to hop on to debate today, because I can create a debate space if you want to do that. Because all the Roman Catholics, by the way, in response to this debate, because it was such a resounding loss, and Tim said so many just preposterous theological heretical statements. Okay, let me make a space for Zach to come debate. All they've had since this, and I've read through hundreds of Roman Catholic comments since the debate, I've not seen one Roman Catholic actually address any single theological argument or point. All they've said is how much a piece of a shit I am and how much they hate me, which tells me that that's actually a sign that you guys are really weak in your position. So this, again, that's a good sign. It's a good sign because that's the natural phases of mourning and coping after a death. So after the death of the Roman Catholic position, yeah, if he doesn't come on, you just boot him, because we don't waste time for this kind of stuff. Open debate, any topic versus J. Dyer. Within reason, by the way. Any topic within reason, because then all these goobers are going to hop on here and start trying to, like, Tiny Mustache Man was a hero. All right, I'm creating the link right now for the live space, and I'll go ahead and start that. You can hop in. Let me give myself the link over here on X. Excellent, there. And I says, what about breakfast at Tiffany's? And she said, I think I remember something. All right, here you go, dude. We love the smack talkers in the chat. But we have a rule over here. If you talk smack in the chat, you got to come to debate. So there's the link right there. We don't care if you have the excuse that, I don't have Twitter. I've never used it. There's the link right there. What do you mean, where's the link? It's literally right there, and he's like, where's the link? We are going to talk about the topics of geopolitics of the papacy, espionage. I want to refresh on that because I did my closing statement in the debate about that topic in part because I had actually forgotten that there's multiple sort of globalist internationalist arguments and statements in the documents of Vatican II. We get so focused on Vatican II's, statements on the Jews and the Muslims and all the kind of ecumenist, syncretist stuff. And I forgot about all the statements in Gaudium et Spes, the Church in the Modern World, the missionary activity of the church document, all of which have these pretty wild, like, New World Order, John the 23rd, Pacem in Terris, statements. So let me start the room here. See if this guy will come. So what we're going to do today is go through some of the highlights of some of the key texts that relate to the geopolitics of the papacy. And then we will... I wasn't really planning on doing an open forum today, but I don't mind doing it right now. What do you mean? And now he's lying. The link doesn't do anything. The link takes you to Twitter. What are you talking about? The link doesn't do anything, even though there's already like people popping into the room. Are you the Zachary Silvas there? There we go. All right, I'm inviting you to speak, Zach. Come back in the room. Try again. Come out and come back in. Are you Zach? Yeah, I saw you pop up. So come back in the room. It might have booted you because I just hit unmute. There we go. No, wait, that's not it. Try again to come back in. Sometimes it boots people right when the thing is starting up. We will look at, I don't care if he's trolling, he's not trolling because he actually popped up in here. So I saw him in here. And we always give people who disagree the ability to come to debate. Otherwise, they just get booted because they're just wasting everybody's time. Where are you at, dude? I saw you. I gave you the invite to speak, and then you disappeared. So I don't know if it booted you or if you ran. But I created the room for you. We'll be talking about forgotten elements of Anglo-American establishment that relate to the papacy and Roman Catholicism in terms of the NWO. Where you at, dude? So this is what we deal with Roman Catholics. They're so cowardly and terrified that all they have left is just... And by the way, did you notice how nasty the chat was yesterday? Tim was like, yeah, Jay brought all of his bots, when literally the chat, people screenshotted it, was all like the most disgusting gay stuff from Roman Catholics. It was just nasty. But what do we expect? I mean, Roman Catholics are basically just a bunch of gay guys anyway, so. That's another reason to avoid that sphere, is so that I can kind of keep the Skittles people away from me. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be friends with Tim, because it's confirmed Tim is hetero. He has children. But the rest of that crew, it's like, what's the point? Like, you guys are openly in a church that blesses gay unions. So now you ran away. What do you expect? So I'm going to leave this here because I want people who disagree to call in. I'm only going to people who disagree. I will not take any catechumen questions, period. Not doing that today. I want to have a chill chat stream session. We're going to have fun. And if he pops back up in the chat, I'm already going to go ahead and boot that guy because he's full of shit. So there's coward number one talking smack and then runs away. Boop, 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 boop. Again, I've literally not seen a single Catholic argument about any of the content of the debate. All they talk about is me personally, which is literally like the weakest crap ever, dude. That's so weak. Did somebody already delete him? Because now I don't see him. Oh, I can't find his profile. Boop, bop, beep, bop, 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 bop. How do these people not? How do I join? What do I do? Like, nobody's ever used Twitter Spaces. We've been doing this for like 8 years here. All right, we got rid of him. Oh wait, he messaged me right here, right before I booted him. Let's see what he says. Can I call you? No, you can't call me. What are you talking about? Go to the Twitter Space, you idiot. It's not unavailable. What are you talking about? Can you call me? That's so gay. Like, I'm gonna give you my phone number. Maybe he means call me on Twitter. Let's see if he's on here. I mean, I saw you in here, so I don't know how you're saying that it's unavailable when you were literally in the room, in the space. I don't know why you wouldn't be. Tell me your handle. Oh, no, he's already blocked. It's just a waste of time. These people are so pathetic. I really want him to come on, though, because every time we get these people like this, like they're the absolute worst. And they end up being really good, funny content. I think I can. Here, I'll unblock you, and then I think if I can find your profile, I will add you, and then I think I can call you at 976 Dyer. What was his name? Zachary Silvas. Oh, I think I see him here. If that's you, I just followed you, Zachary Silvas. Yeah, he's talking about Martin Luther, so that's got to be him. If you want to follow me back, Zachary, then I think we can do a call via Twitter. I think that'll work. Zachary, I followed you. You follow me back, and then we can do a one-on-one call. Anyway. Guys, I'm not taking anybody's calls unless you disagree. So, and we're not doing Q&A and catechumen stuff. So don't even call me about that. I'm just literally going to drop you. So don't set yourself up for a situation where you get your feelings hurt and then you hate me and you're mad at me for the next 5 years because I didn't want to talk about your question when I specifically said I'm not taking catechumen FAQs. I'm only talking to people today who disagree with anything. I don't care what. Otherwise, don't call in. Okay, Zach says he followed me. Let's see if we can do a call. Okay, yeah, here we go. This might shut down the space, though. I think it will. I might restart the space if somebody wants to come debate, but I'm going to call him, and then it's going to shut the space down. It says, I can call you when you send me a direct message. So I DM'd you, and then I'll be able to call you. In order to call this account, you must send a direct message. This is a passive-aggressive spiration. Did you hear that, Zach? You have to DM me before I can call you, and then we can do a call. Well, I turned the room off. There's no room now because in order to call him, I have to shut down the room. Okay, here we go. Yeah, why is my argumentation and my stuff gay?
I was just being inflammatory with that. I don't think it's actually homosexual. I think that my view on the Peter getting the keys and binding and loosing, and also the gates of hell not prevailing. To me, all the other apostles got binding and loosing, but they didn't get the keys, and they.
You know what the office of the keys is?
Well, I know from a little bit from the Old Testament.
No, in Catholic theology and in Orthodox theology, what is it?
It's the authority given to Peter to the keys of the kingdom of heaven.
So the office of the keys is the authority of the keys given to Peter. It's the keys.
Well, I get the keys argument.
What does it symbol? What does it symbolize? In Roman Catholic theology, how do you guys speak of the office of the keys?
I know how we speak about the office of the Pope and
the keys. What is
what
is the exercise of the keys? It's jurisdiction, preaching of the gospel, the administration of the sacraments, and the forgiving of sins. That's the office of the keys in your theology and in Orthodox theology too, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get
oh,
that.
so if that's what it is, then what is it that Peter has that's unique that the other ones don't have, if that's what it's defined as?
So the See of Peter, the Petrine See, the gates of hell won't prevail against that one.
Oh, wait, that one. Hold on. How many Petrine Sees are there?
There's one.
Are you sure?
The Seat of Peter.
Are you sure?
Yeah, the Seat of Peter. There was one guy, Peter.
Well, but wait a minute. How many
Peters were there?
How many C's did Peter set up?
Well, his office. So the office of the keys, as you're saying, the Petrine See.
But now you've equivocated. Now you've moved the goalpost because.
Okay.
How many C's did he set up? How many C's?
Of Peter's. I don't know. So
you don't know?
I don't know what that means.
You don't know what that means.
I do know. Okay, explain it to me, because to me it seems like.
Have you read St. Gregory the Great?
I've read the Bible, and I know.
You've read the Bible, so you don't know. You're laughing. What is it?
Okay, well,
you're not familiar with your own papal teaching about the three Petrine Sees?
I do know that the gates of hell have prevailed.
So you're not actually answering the question. I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about Epistle 40 of Pope St. Gregory the Great. What is that about?
Well, I'm saying from a utilitarian standpoint.
Utilitarianism?
You guys get conquered by the Muslims every time you.
So he calls my information gay, and he comes with the very argument that Augustine refutes in City of God, which is that the true church is proven by political and military prowess. Pope St. Gregory.
It proves it.
No, Pope St. Gregory. You don't even know your own positions, man. You don't know your own church's position. Gregory the Great. Yeah, he's laughing. So look at Gregory the Great. Look at this letter.
Okay, what does he say?
Letter 40. He says there are three Petrine Sees that all share the chair of Peter: Rome, Antioch, and Alexandria. So you're totally wrong about there being one Petrine See.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Utilitarian.
Well, okay. So if we all want to get
you don't know anything.
Muslims, we should all be Orthodox, because you guys.
So you don't. That's a too quick way. Conquered by communists. Do you know how many times the Roman Catholic Church has lost to Muslims? Did you know that it was Uniate? It was Constantinople.
So I knew we got conquered by Spain. Got conquered, and then
when Constantinople fell, was there? When did it? What religion did it have? What religion did it have when it fell?
Hagia Sophia is still a mosque.
What religion? What religion was Constantinople when it fell?
Look, you guys have failed.
What religion was Constantinople when it fell?
1.3 billion. I think we know.
So it's numbers. It's your arguments that are gay, because they're not even good arguments. They're stupid arguments.
Okay, according to you.
What religion was Constantinople when it fell?
It had been conquered by the Latins, I believe, at one point.
So you just refuted yourself, you idiot. Then Rome is false because it fell to that was the dumbest shit ever. This is the level of Roman Catholics. This is what they have. It is always the lowest tier nonsense, and they don't care about what the arguments are. Every single time. I told you it would be pure trash when he called in. You lost to the Muslims. You lost to the Muslims, according to what you just said, because you said you fell, Constantinople fell, and then you admitted it was Uniate. You idiot. I just know the Bible. The Bible doesn't teach Vatican I. Well, utilitarianism. Oh, does the Bible teach utilitarianism? A 17th century Anglo-empiricist ethic? How many C's are Petrine? 3 C's. All the way up as late as Pope St. Gregory the Great. So what he needs to demonstrate is why there's something special about the See of Peter in Rome, given that there's 3 C's. Well, in the earliest days of the church, the reason that Rome was special is because it's doubly apostolic. Oh, but wait a minute. Vatican I says that you can't say that Rome is special because it's doubly apostolic. Paul has nothing to do with it, according to Vatican I in Satis Cognitum. So notice that he had nothing. And these people are so arrogant and so ridiculous and stupid. They don't even realize that the argument that military victories prove or disprove the religion is the very thing that Augustine's City of God is written against. That's how stupid they are. Now, he and I will never interact again. He's not coming back here. It was too dumb, and that's why he just goes off changing the subject into shit that's not even relevant. Utilitarian ethics, like as if they don't know how to argue. They don't know what an argument is. They think it's arguing, and they think it's trying to get owns about losing and winning battles. It's like these are some of the most idiotic people. Like it's like talking to kids. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a weird cult almost. If he comments again, just block him. It's a way. You're not talking to a rational person. And then they always go immediately into personal attacks. Oh, you're salty because you lost. You idiot. Rome fell to Masonry. The Pope was taken captive by the Italian revolutionaries. So I guess Roman Catholicism is false when Pius was under house arrest in the Vatican, when the Masons had him under house arrest. But that's how stupid this argumentation is. Anytime you have a military or political loss, the religion's false. That's how stupid this is. I didn't rage quit. What you said was so stupid that you didn't even realize you refuted yourself. You admitted that Constantinople was Catholic when it fell, and you were trying to argue that falling to Muslims means that your church loses and is disproven. You're too stupid to be here. You're not welcome here. Like, go be gay in Rome, dude. That's where you're welcome. Anybody else want to call in? I don't think we're going to get any more, though. He did finally call in, so I'll give him credit for at least calling. But see, that's what's so wild is like they don't want to stay on one topic. He goes to Constantinople after I'm asking him about Gregory the Great's statement about 3 Petrine Sees. So once they sense that one argument is weakening or getting or losing, they move on to some other topic that's not even relevant. And they don't even have an explanation for they think that keys is like this magical thing when it just means jurisdiction, and it's all the same attributes and powers in Matthew 18 that are given to the other apostles. Peter is rewarded because he says it first, and then everyone else gets the same thing two chapters later. And then they can't ever tell you, okay, well, what is it specifically that Peter gets that the others don't? The keys. Keys is jurisdiction, preaching of the gospel, remitting of sins, celebrating the Eucharist. That's the operation of the keys. That's something they all have. So what's the unique thing? Oh, infallibility. Where in the chapter does it say anything about that? Oh, well, it's assumed. It's tradition. Exactly. I'm going to start another room. And Do not call me if you're asking catechumen questions. And I'm going to start it right now. Debate J. Dyer on any topic. And then smash me, because everybody likes to make sex jokes about that. So there'll be a new link, and then we'll move on. Hold on, let me give you the new link. All right, moving on. Round 2. We'll try again. Not all Roman Catholics. Okay, find me the high tier ones that can actually have a coherent conversation, that have even read one book on the topic. I mean, why are you even trying to debate, like, if you're brand new to this stuff? It's obviously that guy's brand new to this, doesn't know anything. Gorilla Biscuits, what's up? Became a member. Brendan Brandsetter, $5. Pastor John Anoski has 1 million+ followers. He runs a charismatic cult. His videos are crazy, frightening, and funny. You should reply to them. Pastor John Anoski. That does sound funny. Let's see if we can find it. By the way, here is the letter of Gregory the Great, where he mentions 3 Petrine sees. And of course, they don't even know that. Even in the book of Acts, Peter founds the see of Antioch. So apostolic succession in Antioch comes from Peter. But they automatically, arbitrarily say, oh, but they don't have infallibility there. Well, oh, why is that? Because the tradition is that it's in Rome. Oh, so interesting. There's nothing in the text that actually says that infallibility is conferred to Rome only, because they argue from Peter, but then they say that not everybody who succeeds Peter has infallibility. They don't even know that Peter is the founder of the See of Antioch. They don't know that. This is like level 2, and they're at level 1. John Anoski. Let's see if we can find Pastor John. This does sound fun. Anasike? Is he a black dude? Uh-oh. Ooh, it's about to get wild. Pastor John Anosike. Woo. Woo. He has 600,000 followers. So, you know, it's sad. I think more and more, like, we're just dealing with so many just dumb, gullible people. It's kind of sad. Like, why, for example, do all the boomers give money to Kenneth Copeland and these TV preachers? It's like, did you not live long enough to have some discernment in life that you can't spot a con man? I mean, pretty obviously, right? He's a con man, but I don't know. What if I hope that when I live to, if Lord willing, I live to be 80, I have some discernment about con men. What's up, Draco Malfoy? What's up, dog? We had one disagreeing caller. I'm not taking any catechumen questions. Only if you disagree. That's it. Draco Malfoy. Of course, they can never connect when there's somebody who wants to disagree. Try to come out, come back in. Buddy P, 200 ARS, which is always like 20 cents. Congratulations on the win. It was a decisive victory over Gordon. People always police the tone, but this is when Others are bad faith, evasive, and constant with straw mans. Well, have you noticed the parallels between Roman Catholicism and a cult? It is a cult. That's why there's the reaction that we see to where I'm not interested in the information. I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to bypass all that. You're a bad person. Thus, it's a lazy, easy way for me to feel good about myself and not have to worry about anything that you said. It's the classic, right? I'm a bad person. Fine. I'm the worst person. How is any of that going to solve the arguments and the challenges to the position? Oh, it's not la 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 la. That's what Cleave to Antiquity said. He's absolutely right. When you bring the challenges and the problems to the low information converts, low information, it's very effeminate. Exactly. Well, a lot of these people are gay, so yeah, of course it's effeminate. The tactics seem to be forgiven when you have a quote calm demeanor. Yeah, so you can lie and be evasive, and that's okay. But if you're aggressive, even if you're right, you're bad. Yeah, exactly. If you want to ask me a question and you disagree, you can call in. I'm not taking your catechumen questions. For the 100th time, I'm not. I will not answer any catechumen questions if you call in and ask me. I'll literally just drop you. And then you're going to be mad. Oh, you're such a meanie. Even though I specifically said 20 times, I'm not answering your catechumen questions. What's up? Yes, people are gullible. That's the problem here. What's up? Unmute.
Hello, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Calling from Italy. Is everything good?
Yeah, calling what?
Italy, from Italy.
Oh, okay. How's Italy?
Well, as somewhat of a strange case here, you know, I'm an ex-Muslim. I'm probably the only ex-Muslim who goes to a Moscow Patriarchate church here north of the Apennine, south of the Alps. And basically, in your debate, with all the lack of knowledge I have had in whatever apologetics and polemics the Catholics do, I found it really similar to an Islamic cult.
Yes.
Which is
the reactions are very similar to the Muslims too, by the way.
Very much present in our history in Iran. It's called the Hashashins. Well, basically, the assassins are also based on them. Right. And when you said to actually read what happened in Vatican I, I read the manifesto of the leader of Hashashins. His name is Hassan Sabbah.
Yep.
And this guy converges on whatever these revolutionaries and Masonic thinkers were spewing out on 80% of the points. It's like, I don't know how it happens, but it has happened, and it's mind-boggling for me. Like, it's crazy for me.
Well, it's part of fallen human nature to operate this way. That's how they act. So, Zachary wants to try again. Oh no, here we go. But thank you for calling. Yeah, I mean it's cult-like behavior. Yeah, do you want to talk about Pope St. Gregory the Great?
I was looking into the Petrine Seas, because I'll be honest, I haven't heard of those.
Why are you trying to debate something that's a basic of church history if you don't know about it?
Well, because we're not taught that, because we're not Orthodox, we're Catholic, and so we just take it for
so
granted.
You think that it's a truth that's only in the Orthodox Church, and that's why.
Well, it's
so,
something you guys focus on, like the Filioque. We don't even think about the Filioque.
We're not moving on to Filioque. One moment at a time. 1 point at a time.
No.
Okay, you said the Petrine Sea. You were talking about Peter and the Gospel and the text. And
the keys are... I'm sorry.
You thought that there's only one Petrine See, Rome. I showed you that there's three, and all the way up into Gregory the Great in letter 40, he still talks about three Petrine Sees. So the question is, where and how do you prove that infallibility is for the see in Rome and not the other two?
So Jesus gave Peter the keys, not his seat, not the places he visited or he set up. The keys are tied to Peter, and he died in Rome.
Do you not understand that the successors in Antioch and Alexandria are from Peter?
I mean, he didn't die yet. So
wait a minute. So he has to die before their successors?
Yeah, I mean. That's
So wait a
how
minute. He
popes
has to
work.
die
That's how
before their
popes- hey,
successors.
do you know how popes work?
Are you
When our
are you
pope
listening
dies,
to the
we
argument?
get a new one.
Stop
When our
talking or
pope
I'm booting
dies-
you. He has to die
okay.
before there's a successor. So how did he set up a church in Antioch if he's already dead?
He didn't die. He died in Rome, and his successor
So
was the next
so
pope.
there are there successors in Antioch from Peter?
Okay, so
Are there?
I mean, not his final successor.
Oh, it's
where
a
he died.
quote final successor. How do you know that it's
that's
the
what a
final?
pope is.
How do you know that it's the quote final successor when all three are successors? Where do you get this argument from?
Well, it's from tradition because
Where?
when a pope
Where?
dies, we pick a
What
new
tradition?
pope.
What tradition?
The tradition of the papacy.
Oh, so the papacy proves the papacy by arguing for the tradition of the papacy.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
after Peter,
Is that a circle?
his successor-
Is that a circle?
No, I'm just pointing out when a king dies.
You're just
pick a new
pointing it out.
king.
Now it's a king dying. What does it have to do with
Yeah.
this in the first century?
Peter's
Is Peter
the
a king?
prince
Is he a
of the-
king?
Yeah, I mean, he got the keys to the kingdom, so he's kind
So
of a king.
the keys prove is this a circular argument or not?
No, it's not a circle.
Oh, wait a minute. But your argument was that no, it's not.
the keys are tied to Peter. Saint Antioch. Saint
Is
Augustine
the
said-
bishop of Antioch a successor to Peter?
No, his final successor. He didn't die yet.
Now you've added a qualification that is quote his final successor, and now I want you to prove
The
that.
keys are tied to Peter. The keys are tied to Peter. So
The
when Pope
successors
dies,
in
when
Antioch,
Peter dies-
stop lying, because the successors in Antioch are from Peter. You already admitted it.
I mean, so
Why are you lying to? Why are you lying?
Bishops can make a new pope. So
What does that have to do? Now you're deflecting.
I'm sorry.
Now
I'm
you're
sorry.
deflecting.
Peter.
How do you
bishops
know?
can make a
Listen,
new
stop arguing
bishop.
stop your bullshit, dude. You said that it has to be his final successor in Rome, the last one.
Linus.
How do you prove that?
Early succession: Peter, Linus, and Cletus.
How do you prove that that's the final successor is the only one that gets infallibility?
I mean,
There's no proof.
I'm
It's
not-
your
okay,
stupid
I'm not-
position.
I'm
That's
not
why you
trying
said
to
the
argue
you said the
infallibility.
papacy
I never
proves
said,
it.
I never said. I'm not even talking about infallibility.
That's what the argument's about.
The church was promised the Holy Spirit to guide them into all truth.
Dude, do you not understand that Antioch, there's a bishop in Antioch, it's in the book of Acts. Peter sets up the church in Antioch, and they have succession from Antioch. Even the Roman Catholic Church admits this.
Yeah. So.
So why does it not have infallibility if it's a Petrine see?
Popes make bishops all the time. That doesn't make a new.
What
bishop
does that have to
pope.
do with this?
Because he needs a successor. That's how it works. That's how the
Dude, do you
papacy
not
always
understand
worked.
that
I'm arguing from tradition.
listen, Antioch has its succession from Peter.
If it's not his final successor, the keys are.
Where
tied to
now
Peter,
you've changed the
not
argument to
where he
say
set
his
them up.
quote final successor. Now prove that the only person that has infallibility is the quote final successor. Prove that. You can't. That's why you're
okay.
silent, because you're a liar and you don't
No,
know
I'm
what
not.
you're talking
I mean-
about. Good God, dude. These people are so do you see when we actually got into it? They're totally dishonest. They change what they're arguing to prove the position. He just made up ad hoc. Oh, it's the final successor. Even though Antioch and Alexandria as bishoprics have Petrine succession, his own Roman Catholic Church knows that and admits that. So now they have to show that there's something special about Rome. How do you prove that? Because the papacy says so. That's a circle, you idiot.
Hello.
Yep.
I was just watching that debate from last night, and then on I think Tim Gordon's closing statement, he was talking about the three saints that were basically I can't remember the last two, but I remember the first one was Theodore the Studite. I was reading his letters, and I'm trying to understand it more how that's affirming the papacy, because the reading the words and everything in that letter was sounded like he was affirming the papacy, but I was just trying to understand it.
All this is equivocating, affirming the papacy. That's not what's in debate. The Orthodox Church doesn't disagree there's a bishop of Rome and that he was the first in the canons and the synods and all of that. That doesn't prove the claims of Vatican I. Don't you understand you have to prove what Vatican I says about the papacy? That's the burden of proof. That's the Roman Church's claims.
Okay.
It's not a question of did the church agree and admit that there were Petrine successors in Rome. You're going to find all kinds of quotes about that because it's never been in dispute. But you're equivocating by saying Jesus established the papacy. What is the papacy in Roman Catholic theology? It's defined by Vatican I. How come none of you go and read Vatican I? Go read Vatican I. That's what you're arguing for. Not did Jesus set up a Petrine succession in Rome. Nobody disputes that. Yep.
Yo, you hear me?
Yep.
I just want to say congrats on the debate. I was not expecting Tim to just come out and fully say that the theophanies were created. That was like,
I knew he would because he doesn't understand the argument. He never read any of the stuff I sent him for 5 years. So
maybe I just expected more out of him from that. But as soon as I got to that part of the debate, just watching the chimp out in chat from all the RCs, that was sort of mind-boggling.
No, I've been saying for years they're that retarded. Well, I mean, it's exactly what I expected.
I mean, what more do you expect from the people who, whenever they're confronted with something like this, will stick their fingers in theirs and just say, la, 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 divorcing contraception, whatever.
Exactly. Do you have anything you disagree with, anything you want to comment on other than that?
No, I just wanted to come on and say that, so.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, there are no more Roman Catholics. Like, that was, I mean, I'm not even saying he's like the greatest of the Roman Catholic apologists, because I'm sure Tim would say that. You can go read Ibarra, and he's better on papacy, whatever. I mean, again, like Tim conceded, especially the Filioque. At the end of the debate, he says, all right, I was wrong about Filioque. You got me there. And then privately after the debate, he said to me, you were right about universal ordinary magisterium. So, yep.
Hello, Jay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Am I allowed to steel man a position and pretend to be Roman Catholic for a bit?
Okay.
All right. So Pope Vigilius was coerced by the council on the subject of the 3 chapters. And the reasoning for this is looking back to the tome of, I believe it's, well, let's just start from the beginning. Pope Leo I. So when somebody, because I had an interaction with a Roman Catholic apologist, which I probably shouldn't have as a catechumen, but he said that Pope Vigilius was actually coerced through political
but now
means.
wait a minute. So then they would be admitting Caesaro-papism.
I'm an idiot. What does that mean?
Okay. I'm not trying to be rude, but so if you believe that the emperor runs the church or is the head of the church, it's usually termed, they often criticize us of the emperor's the head of your church, hence Caesaro-papism. This Caesar is the pope, right? The Roman emperor is supposedly running the church, controlling the church, and he's the Eastern Church's pope. If the Vigilius situation is a proof of Vigilius actually just submitting to Justinian, to the emperor, then they're admitting that their own pope at that time was Caesaro-papist, submitted to that the emperor was the real pope. So they would have to concede that at one point the papacy was not true, Caesaro-papism was true. But that would also not just defeat the papacy as a system. You only need one contradiction to disprove the system. And I don't think they understand that. Like, that's another thing that seems to pop up, is that they don't understand that you have a system that claims perpetual successive never failing faith for Rome. That's what Vatican I says. Thus, if Rome ever failed in the faith, then Vatican I is not true. It's a contradiction. Even Ibarra said, if you could show a dogmatic contradiction to the papacy, I would be forced to concede the papacy. He said that in our debate a long time ago. So that's why all I do is bring these obvious examples, and it doesn't matter which way they go with the unum sanctum and the temporal supremacy argument. By the way, I noticed when the Roman Catholics are replying to the unum sanctum argument, they don't even understand what I'm arguing. They think I'm saying that where is the proof of the papacy in the first 1,000 years? Do you people not do you have IQs below 80? I said, where is the temporal supremacy argument of the papacy in the first 1,000 years? Not, are there papal quotes? I know you have a million quote mines, by the way, which are all out of context. That's not the argument. Temporal supremacy, what's stated in unum sanctum. You have to believe in the temporal supremacy also to be saved. Can you follow this argument? Yep.
What up?
What's on your mind?
I have a quick joke. Bro, did you notice that like towards the end of the debate, Tim started looking like Slim Shady from 8 Mile.
Maybe he was trying to. Yeah, he went full like Fred Durst hat with NBA hoodie. I don't know.
I thought I was the only one who noticed it.
I think the reason he put on the hoodie and stuff is because it was freezing cold in there. Like Elijah keeps it like insanely cold, like Alex Jones does.
But one other thing too, you know, for just so people have some game out there, never trust somebody with a soul patch the size of Pluto, boys.
Look, I mean, on a personal level, Tim's always been cool. We get along great. We went out to dinner the next day. I took his family out to barbecue, and we ended up getting caught in a rush of people, so we had to sit there and talk for about an hour, and then there's a storm came, and the order got delayed because it was massive, like lunchtime. So we ended up having to wait another 2 hours to eat. So I spent basically all day with Tim yesterday during the day. So I hung out with him and his family again. We've done this before. We always go out to barbecue, and we get along fine. We have a great rapport, conversation. I just don't think that when it comes to these topics, first of all, I don't think there's any incentive really for him to want to understand the Orthodox positions. Like it's too much of a massive crushing blow if your identity is wrapped up in Rome to really commit years of reading Orthodox material. And that's kind of unfortunately what it takes. If you actually want to understand the Orthodox position, it's going to take time. Like you're not going to solve these issues by reading a Catholic Answers, quote mine, and an Orthodox, quote mine. They're really complex issues. That's why I try to take it into like the most non-complex, kind of clear stuff. Like it's really hard to demonstrate to most people that Jesus set up a spiritual pastor who's also a world emperor with standing armies. That's difficult to demonstrate because it's crazy. And they know that. And that's why I think it's one of the strongest arguments, because not only was it not there in the first 1,000 years, and it's backed up by forgeries, admittedly, in the second millennium, it's now no longer part of their faith and dogma stuff. You don't have to believe that anymore. In fact, Vatican II rejects this idea. So that's really hard to make sense of, and that's why he has to hand wave it and say it's a discipline. It's about faith and morals and salvation. That's not disciplinary if it's literally a dogma necessary for salvation according to Unum Sanctum, and then for the next 900 years. And why would this not be true in the first 1,000 years? Drago, what's up? Drago, unmute.
Jimmy, you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry, I don't want to be mean or anything. I genuinely want to ask you, who's your favorite F7 character, and what's your opinion on the story?
Final Fantasy VII? Well, that's the thing, as I was saying the other day, I didn't realize there's a sequel. So, when I'm off of my video game fast, I'm actually looking forward to playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I didn't realize that they made a sequel to Final Fantasy VII. So I'm not even sure what to say about this one. It looks fun. I mean, it looks like a lot of, kind of the same stuff in the other remake, but we'll have to see. All right, so let's talk about, we get some more super chats, excuse me. It looks like it's going to be fun. I mean, it seems like nowadays, like, video games are hard. It's hard to find good ones. Like, they're getting woke and fake and gay, so I wanted to do a little bit of a refresher on the papal geopolitical stuff, because that was something I said in the closing of the debate. Let me see if I can reiterate what I said, because I think a lot of people said they liked the closing statement, and I didn't even really think about it being that. I just kind of impromptu said what popped into my head. So here's what I said at the closing. Let me grab a book while you listen to this. The claims of Vatican I, for example, if you read Satis Cognitum, which is Leo XIII's description and definition of what is supposed to be understood in terms of papal supremacy. Satis Cognitum says that it has always, at all times, been understood
that the Roman See had the claims that Vatican I has about it. So in other words, there's no development of doctrine according to Satis Cognitum. It is clearly that the Roman See was indefectible, infallible, and had universal jurisdiction. Now, he likes to say that, well, I don't have to accept these statements from the Chieti document because, well, it's just not infallible. Of course, there is no epistemic criteria for the Roman Catholic for what is actually infallible, because Tim knows that it's more than just a few ex cathedra statements. You also have to believe all the dogmatic teachings in the ordinary universal magisterium. And in fact, there's a whole list of, I'll give you guys the list of these. You can look them up yourself since we don't have time to go through them. Denzinger 1683, Denzinger 1698, Denzinger 1792, Casti Connubii 104 all say that position is condemned if you say you only follow the ex cathedra magisterial statements. That is a condemned proposition. And it's funny because you actually heard him seem to be arguing that tonight. Now, in regard to...
Just let him conclude, please.
Sorry.
Please. We have 4 hours and 13 minutes.
Because universal ordinary magisterial teaching would be much broader and would bind him and everyone else to a whole bunch of other things. And that's precisely what the point of Vatican I was to say. Now, all I needed was one dogmatic contradiction, which I think we saw with the geopolitical power claims that were necessary for salvation for 900 years. He said, oh, it's just a discipline. That's his way to get around this doctrinal contradiction. But again, I will go back to the famous instance that Ubi brought up to Ibarra, which Ibarra didn't have an answer to, and which I will reassert again from the papacy and the Orthodox. Pope Vigilius submitted to the Ecumenical Council because he was threatened with excommunication and removal from the diptychs. And that's where he landed. That's where he ended up. That's why Vigilius is such a strong argument against the claim that Jesus instituted this universal supremacy that was from all times, at all times, everywhere, infallible, indefectible from the earliest days. That's what he has to prove. That's why he was deflecting into these passages that don't actually prove that. They prove merely that there's those passages which can be read in an Orthodox sense or in a Roman Catholic sense. He has a system that he has to defend.
One point on that, I'm not arguing that the passages, by the way, are relative or relativistic. Like, we don't know what the passages mean. You can read them in either way. That's not what I'm saying. What I mean by that is both the Orthodox and the Catholic paradigms accept those verses, but they give them different interpretations. So the question isn't some sort of like self-evident meaning in the text, right? Which is weird because they're treating these texts like Protestants do, like, well, it's just self-evident that that's what the text means, right? Matthew 16 clearly means Vatican I. That's all the eisegesis and stuff that they're assuming. We don't have that view. The majority of the church fathers, by the way, according to Edward Denny in his book Papalism, didn't interpret those texts about Peter and his keys. In fact, it's not until the 4th century that Matthew 16 is for the first time used of the papacy itself, of the Roman See. So it takes many centuries before that idea is even used, which is very late for their line of argumentation. In fact, if that's what the passages meant, it would have been there from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th century. It wouldn't have been Pope Damasus that was one of the first to make the argument that Matthew 16 is about the office of Peter. And I'm not granting that even calling it about the office of Peter in Matthew 16, that necessarily even proves the Vatican I text, because all those things can still be read in an Orthodox way and are completely compatible with Orthodox theology. That's what I'm trying to say, is like, they're just assuming that the passages prove the totality of the papal claims when none of that is present in the text of Matthew 16 or Luke or John. That's called eisegesis.
He tried to say that it's all coherence theory, or so. I don't hold to secular coherence theory, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. The position only requires one contradiction for the whole thing to fall apart. And you can read the most recent Richard Price text on the case of Vigilius, and when Richard Price was on Reason and Theology, and they interviewed him a few years ago, and he said that the Pope did not have universal jurisdiction in the first millennium.
Now, let me play you that clip, because it's one of my favorites, because they tried to downplay. They may have even deleted it. I don't know, but I'm going to play you the clip where Richard Price is on with Lofton and Ibarra, and he admits this. Now, Price is the one that has done the translations of the ecumenical councils recently. That's why that book matters. And here, once again, is one of our favorite quotes to clips to play over here, where this gaggle of overweight idiots is interviewing this gay man.
Why did the bishops in Chalcedon feel they needed to judge Theodoret if Leo had already reinstated him?
Well, they didn't recognize Roman jurisdiction in the eastern provinces. So Leo's reinstating for them was not decisive. A decision has to be made in the east. Theodoret's position at the council is a very interesting one. In the eastern
Did you hear that?
Provinces they didn't recognize Roman jurisdiction in the eastern provinces.
So that's Father Richard Price, the scholar that's translated the Acts of the Councils, Roman Catholic scholar. They ask him, hey, there's some of these Orthodox challenges that don't make sense with the Vatican idea of the papacy in the first millennium. What does he say? That's because there was no Vatican I universal jurisdiction in the first millennium. The East didn't accept that. Oops. Now you notice that all of this stuff, they're so dishonest. They ignore, suppress, try to delete, and hand wave all this stuff. It's insane.
Just like the Chieti document says, the Pope did not have universal jurisdiction in the first millennium. That means Vatican I is false, and that's why Vigilius disproves the papacy. And there's many more. Honorius. What, 2 minutes or we're done?
No, you 2 minutes.
Okay. There's many more. There's also the case of Honorius. Honorius is not just condemned because he supposedly fibbed or failed to condemn. It's actually because he wrote a letter to a bishop. So notice the status of the text. It wasn't ex cathedra. It wasn't magisterium. It was a letter to a bishop where he affirmed monothelitism, and he was successively condemned by in the East 3 councils, including the Seventh Ecumenical Council. So Honorius becomes a heretic explicitly. Most Roman Catholics, except for a few, will admit this now today. But that means that the Pope isn't indefectible. And yet Vatican I claims that the See of Peter is indefectible. It is never failing in its truth and in its faith. And yet tonight we've seen in just a handful of examples, and I can give many, many more, that it is in fact failing. And that's why we don't put our hope in a geopolitical world ruler, which now calls for open borders and all of that, who used to say you had to believe in his Quizatzadarach, Lisan al-Gib powers to be saved. Now you don't have to believe it's just a discipline, hand wave it. No. The papacy...
People didn't get my joke. Quizatzadarach is from Dune. It's the universe's super being. Paul Atreides, right? He's believed to be the Lisan al-Gaib. That was the joke.
Is a geopolitical tool. And if you go to my channel and watch all of my old videos, you can find the lectures where I've walked through David Wimhoff's excellent book showing that the CIA also bought into and helped to buy out the papacy through Operation Gladio. There's multiple texts from multiple Roman Catholics.
The papacy was bankrupt.
So what are we looking at with the papacy? Is it really a center of unity? Or is it a tool of inclusive capitalism, socialism, World Economic Forum, all the stuff that you see Vatican II promoting with the internationalism, a new world order, etc., explicitly in the church in the modern world?
We're going to look at some of these texts.
That's what the papacy actually is. The papacy is not your friend. It is a spiritual cancer, and it does not produce the thing that it claims to produce: unity, holiness, and truth.
Yeah. The papacy promotes open borders, blesses gay unions, blesses them as couples, as the text said, not marriages. Gay union couples are blessed now in the Roman Catholic Church. If you come up to the priest at the end, you can be blessed. That's what the text says. The text actually contradicts itself. So when Roman Catholics are presented with this, it doesn't say that. It says that they can't be married. It says they can be blessed. It is now an open possibility in the Roman Catholic Church. That's what the text says. And it also tries to walk it back. So that's just a contradiction. What's up, man? Unmute. Actual unmute.
Hello.
What's up?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question. I probably should have just looked toward, but I figured I'd ask.
do you have any? I'm inquiring, by the way. Do you have any debates with any Coptics or any Assyrians or anything like that, or do you just debate Catholics mainly?
We have a series that we're working through. We've done 3 installments of it, refuting Oriental Orthodoxy, and David Erhan's already had all those debates 5-6 years ago. So look up me and David Erhan. Pastor, what's up, Pastor? Unmute.
Hey, what's up? How are you doing, man?
Good.
So I have a question because I'm sure you've seen it, throughout this entire app, right? A lot of Orthodox Christians, I was Orthodox for a long time, are trying to syncretize Orthodoxy with, racialism and National Socialism. So I wanted to understand what your position on that is. Orthodox Christians being racist, being white supremacist, and being National Socialist.
Yeah, I'll bet you are. I'll bet you were Orthodox. Sure. I've never met an Orthodox person that's National Socialist. That's ridiculous. You're going to have a really hard time convincing Russian people who went to war against Tiny Mustache Man to be National Socialist. That looked like a Fed profile. That was total bullshit. Anyway, so let's move on then. You can still call in if you disagree. I can spot a Fed right away. Doesn't work. Provocateur, agitprop. Let's talk about this document that we don't usually talk about when we get into Vatican II. And this one is overlooked. And it is the Gaudium et Spes document. The Church and the Modern World. And we're going to look at paragraph 12. Because this one is overlooked because everybody focuses on, and it's not wrong because it's kind of the easiest thing to go to like the doctrinal issues, the liturgical issues, the worship issues, right? Like praying together with Muslims and all this. Muslims can be saved as Muslims. All the nonsense that we find in Vatican II. But there's this other document called Gaudium et Spes, which has to do with the church in the modern world in terms of geopolitics, believe it or not. And it's as wild. But it's in more of a, it's not in a dogmatic context, even though it's full of total socialist nonsense. The dignity of the human person. Notice this Catholic humanism. This is something that John Paul II and a lot of his books tried to promote. I've read a lot of John Paul II stuff. A lot of his homilies and a lot of his encyclicals were very notorious for this idea that man is the center of everything. It's very bizarre. But actually, when we think about Vatican II, it's going to make a lot of sense. So this is a really weird statement here. According to unanimous opinion of believers and unbelievers, all things on earth should be related to man as their center and their crown. What? First of all, we don't do our theology and our geopolitics on popular opinion. Like, this is some kind of weird, because everybody agrees on this. Number one, they don't agree on that. And why do we care in the church and Christianity what the unbelievers are saying we should do? I mean, that's preposterous. But I mean, even more preposterous is the idea that in Christianity, Christendom, especially Orthodox Christianity, man is the center and the crown of all reality. I mean, that's just insane, weird humanism that is just completely false. In fact, there is a papal document called Quas Primus that was actually written to counteract the idea that society should be organized around the doctrine of man as its center and crown. So it's actually been specifically condemned. It's kind of a man worship. It's a secular idea of social theory. It's not just pluralism. It's like rabid secularism. And it's patently false. Christians and unchristians agree that man is the center and crown of all activities on earth. It sounds like Antichrist. Right? It's insane. Now, don't worry though, because it's going to get even crazier as we move through. This bizarre document. Let's see. There's a weird statement on conscience. Here's a weird. There's a lot of social justice, like socialism, in this document, which is why it's really bizarre and dangerous. And it actually if you don't know, John the 23rd, who was, believed to be sort of a Rosicrucian Masonic Pope, he's the one that's called, the guy that calls Vatican II. There was concern at that time by the CIA that he's called the Pinko Pope. And so the CIA tried to establish a lot of discussions and alliances with him. But then they were a lot more successful with Paul VI. So Paul VI was far more closely aligned with the CIA. John the 23rd actually wanted to open up the Roman Catholic world and church to the Soviet Union. And he spoke about this very openly, hence why he was called the Pink Pope. But he wrote a famous encyclical called Pacem in Terris, which had to do with opening the church up to the geopolitics of secularism in the United Nations. And it actually calls for the creation of international institutions to redistribute wealth, etc. So it's a very heavily socialist document. And what's fascinating is that Vatican II further aligns itself in the Gaudium et Spes document, which everybody overlooks and disagrees with, or ignores, or they're not even aware of it, they've never read it, is actually extremely socialist United Nations globalist document. Here's another weird, I guess you could call this anti-colonial sort of indigenous propaganda. Listen to this one. This is wild. It says, our era needs the wisdom of bygone ages if the discoveries made by man are to be further humanized. For the future of the world stands in peril unless wiser men are forthcoming. It should be pointed out that poor nations are rich in wisdom and can offer the advantages to the others. When a black nation is speaking, you sit in silence. You learn from them. I just thought this one's funny because it's just that kind of like, anti-colonial woke speak all the way back in the 1960s in the Vatican II documents. It's just a funny one that use. So all these trads and all these people who want to act like they're based, right? And then like their own documents are literally just woke bullshit. The next weird statement. Let's see what the next weird one is. I think it's this one, Human Community, Chapter 2. Now, this one is a theological mistake. I don't know if you're familiar with this one, but this one's very subtle, but I want you guys to look for the theological error on, I'm not going to say what it's on, and I want you to see if you can figure it out, paragraph 24. I'm going to read it, and then I want to look at the chat to see who can figure out the mistake here. God, who has fatherly concern for everyone, has willed that all men should constitute one family and treat one another in a spirit of brotherhood. Well, first of all, that's actually not true because the church is the restored new humanity. This is actually taking what's true about the church and applying it to civilization as a whole, the brotherhood of man, which you could say, yeah, in a sense, all men in Adam are brothers. But that it doesn't follow from that God wants there to be an international one nation brotherhood of men. That's a Masonic goal. It says all men are created in the image of God. That's all good, etc. They're all called to the same goal, God himself. That's correct. Now listen to this. For this reason, love of God and of neighbor is the first commandment and greatest commandment. Did you hear that? For this reason, love for God and neighbor is the first and greatest commandment. Anyone notice the theological error there? Give the proof. What line in the book? We're literally reading the text on the screen, you idiot. Where's the proof? On the freaking screen. Who notices the theological error in this statement of Gaudium et Spes? Anybody? I'm looking in the chat and I'm waiting. I think the chat's a little bit behind. So when Sheikh Shamoon, I think you got it. Let's see. We're going to keep going to see if anybody else gets it. Does nobody know what the first and greatest commandment is? Come on, guys. Orthodox Leo got it. Look at that. See, Orthodox people love and know their Bible. Exactly. The first commandment is to love the Lord your God. The second commandment relates to man, right? And your neighbor. So, no, Love for God and neighbor is not the first and greatest commandment. So I'm not, let's see. Now, it is true that like Catholics kind of number the 10 commandments a little bit different, but let's look at the 10 commandments. The first commandment, as we all know, I think, right? You shall have no other gods. So this slip up cleverly inserts the love of man into the first commandment of the love of God. A very odd, bizarre, basic mistake, but it actually makes sense in a document that is trying to replace the primacy of God with a Catholic humanism, which is ultimately just humanism. Hence, the document pushes the brotherhood of man. The document pushes the idea that man is the center and crown of all of society, which is just absolutely bizarre. But it gets even worse as we move on. These are just some of the weird ones. Let's look at paragraph 42, which I did mention in the debate, but I'm going to show you specifically. One of the most egregious contradictions in Catholic dogma right here. What does the church offer to society? This is paragraph 42 in the document. The union of the human family is only found in Christ, in the family of God's sons. Okay, that's true. That sounds good. Christ gave his church no proper mission in the political, economic, or social order. Interesting. No political, social mission. Is that the classic teaching of the Roman Catholic Church? Now, wait a minute. Let's come over here to Unum Sanctum, about 900 years earlier. And we're going to read this famous paragraph that I'm always referring to. For according to the blessed Dionysius, it is a law of divinity that the lowest things are reach the highest things by intermediaries. Therefore, according to this, the universe, all things are not led back equally or immediately, but the lowest by their intermediary. The acceptance of the power itself by government, right? So he's talking about spiritual and political power. It belongs to the spiritual power to establish the terrestrial earthly power. The papacy is superior to and establishes the temporal. Thus is accomplished the prophecy of Jeremiah. In other words, they're taking Jeremiah's prophecy about Jesus and now applying it to the papacy. The papacy is the King of Kings, Lord of Lords. I have placed you over nations and over kings. So notice what they do. Something that is a prophecy that Jeremiah makes about Jesus, well, it's actually about the papacy being King of Kings. You can't make this up. Therefore, if the terrestrial power, and this is in the midst of controversies with kings, if the king errs, it's the Pope that is the superior. Now, in the Orthodox Church, yes, we definitely agree that the church is superior. But it doesn't follow from that the papacy is therefore a world ruler. And that's the purpose of this document. Right? It goes on to say, because whatever you bound on earth will be bound in heaven. Notice how Matthew 16 is now being used, not just for a spiritual power and authority in the Roman sense of the see and the papacy spiritually. It's now being applied to world power and kingdoms and armies. I'm not joking. Like the papacy gets a standing army a couple centuries after this. Thus, we declare, proclaim, and define absolutely necessary for salvation every human creature be subject to the Roman pontiff, both spiritually and temporally. That's the purpose of this document. Go read it. It's called Unum Sanctum. Now, Roman Catholics are not very smart, and every time I bring this up, they can't hear, apparently, or understand what I'm arguing. They always think that I'm arguing that there's no authority of the Pope. I specifically said the temporal supremacy of the Roman bishop. So I know it's hard for you guys to follow arguments, but listen to what I'm saying. I'm not even caring about the Matthew 16 spiritual power at the moment. Let's set that aside, whatever you think about it. I'm making a specific argument separate from that about that you must also accept that the Pope is a world emperor to be saved. That is what this document is arguing. And that continues all the way up into the time of Pius IX and Vatican I in the syllabus of errors, where it is condemned at that time as well that you can't reject. If you reject this document, it's condemned, or this doctrine of temporal supremacy. It is a condemned idea. Is everybody following me? This shouldn't be that controversial. And if you want me to get the syllabus of errors out, I can. I can tell you which one it is. I cited it in the debate. Here, I'll get it, because I know people in this audience are just too stupid. Here. I'm talking about the Roman Catholic audience. So let's go back to the syllabus of errors. The Roman Catholics don't even know what these documents are. They never read them. Syllabus of errors, 76. This is Pius IX in 1864, so we're basically 900 years ahead of the original Dictatus Papae statement, and then we're, 600, 500 years later after Unum Sanctum in the 1300s. And we're going to look at paragraph 76. This position is condemned. It has been wisely decided by law in some Catholic churches that persons coming to reside, that's 76, the abolition of the temporal power of the Roman See, the Apostolic See, would contribute to liberty and prosperity of the church. We should get rid of the temporal power, the Pope as a world ruler and geopolitical emperor. It's condemned. Are you idiots following me? Can you follow this basic argument? Okay, Unum Sanctum, 1382. Or 1302, excuse me. You got to believe in it to be saved. Temporal power, not just spiritual power, temporal power. All the way up to syllabus of errors. If you don't believe in the temporal power, even in the 1800s, you're condemned. It's a condemned proposition right there by the Vatican. But wait a minute. When I read Gaudium et Spes, the church in the modern world, it says Christ never gave to the church any political, economic, or social mission or order. Is that clear enough? Roman Catholics, do you see that? Is that clear enough? Do you want me to go through it one more time for you? I don't know, it's just so hard for people to understand. I make this argument all the time. I was reading comments underneath these videos and these clips, and every time, it never fails, on Instagram, YouTube, Roman Catholics think that I'm arguing that there's no power of the papacy spiritually. They don't understand the difference between the spiritual and the temporal. This is the two powers theory of the Middle Ages. Okay, Unum Sanctum is very clear that Rome says, yes, you can talk about two powers, but the Pope has both and is superior in both. And you must believe that to be saved. Clear as day contradiction. Vatican II says Jesus never gave his church any political, economic, or social mission. I can't think of something more clear than that. And if you can't see that, enjoy being Roman Catholic. Have fun with that. Now, moving on, because Gaudium et Spes is a treasure trove of weird humanism, bizarre statements. Let's look at another one of these in paragraph 53. And you're going to notice this trend of humanism that we already saw. By the way, this going through this also shows you the sense and attitude that Vatican II had about secular culture and de-Christianizing the Christian states. That's what this further demonstrates, which further proves a complete change in dogma on Catholic social teaching. Here's another one of these bizarre humanist statements. Man comes to a true full humanity only through culture. Well, actually, that doesn't make any sense, because you have human nature and you're a human person from the womb. You're not a potential person. That's a bizarre language, because usually people that believe that you're not a person until you're a certain age, which is what people who are pro-abobo argue. That's a pro-abobo line of argumentation, if you're not familiar. That is, through the cultivation of the goods and values of nature. It is only true and full humanity, which is by means of culture. Okay, and then now we're going to compare this to what's said in paragraph 55, because this is about this supposed culture. From day to day, in every group and every nation, there is an increase in the number of men and women who are conscious that they are themselves authors and artisans of the culture of their community. Throughout the whole world, there is a mounting increase in the sense of autonomy as well as responsibility. This is of paramount importance for the spiritual and moral maturity of the human race. It becomes more clear if we consider that the unification of the world and the duty imposed upon us will be a better built world upon truth and justice. So you are only made fully human through human culture, and this only occurs when we unify the world. Interesting. Now, what is this all about? Well, in paragraph 55, thus we are witnessing the birth of a new humanism. Exactly. NWO talk. In other words, remember the French Revolution? All the philosophe verbiage? This is French Revolution Masonic philosophe verbiage, if you've read those texts, and I have studied them in grad school. Did you not hear me multiple times say it's a new kind of humanism? What does the text say right there? A new humanism is born. One in which man is defined first of all by responsibility to God? No. Remember what we saw about the rewording of the first and greatest commandment? What was the rewording? Responsibility first of all to other men. You're only fully human, you're only fully a man. Your number one responsibility is to the society of man. That is straight up socialism and Marxism right there. That's Marxism, Socialism 101. You achieve your full maturation as a person and as an individual in the collective because you're responsible to the collective. The number one responsibility that you have in this new humanism isn't to God with the rewording of the first commandment. It is to what? To all other men, to humanity. Wow. Man, the autonomous author of his own culture. Wow. Now you think, okay, that's pretty bad. Well, guess what? It gets even worse. Because with all of those French Revolutionary Socialist arguments laid down, again, this is not new in Vatican II. It's actually in Pacem in Terris, John the 23rd encyclical on these things. What's the goal of all this? Did Jesus, now keep this in mind, Jesus didn't send a church with any political, social, or economic mission at all. That's what the text said. None. But now watch this contradiction as we shift to the social United Nations goal that is the real goal of Catholicism in the post-Vatican II era. Watch this. This is going to blow your mind because it gets even worse. Paragraph 82. Remember, the church has no social, economic, political goals, but now we have the goal of the outlawing of all war. Yes, you heard me right. The text that I have, which is not, it doesn't have all of the headings. The actual headings in the text that I have, I'll show it to you. It actually says, it is time to outlaw all warfare. What? In the meantime, efforts have already been made and are still underway to eliminate the danger of war. On the contrary, support should be given to the goodwill of every man to do away with war. So, I thought we had no duty in the Catholic Church to political, social, and economic realms. Jesus didn't establish that. Wait a minute. But now the Vatican, as a geopolitical global institution, is ready to put aside all nationalistic differences. Oh, wait a minute. What? Notice that? Are you noticing how socialist and Marxist this document actually is? Look at the last section of 82. Watch this. There needs to be new education, particularly with the young, so that they don't fall into old problems. What are these old problems? Let's not let a false hope deceive us. Unless enmities and hatred are put away, honest agreements concerning world peace. Did Jesus say he came to bring world peace? I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. The new Vatican II Jesus, though, is a geopolitical symbol of socialist world peace and internationalist institutions. And it's explicitly going to say that here in a second. Okay, but I want you to see the actual Marxist verbiage right here. The Church of Christ does not cease to hope firmly, right, that this peace can happen. Wait a minute. I'm looking for there's a passage where it talks about getting rid of nationalism. Let me find that in the meantime. Let's see. The copy that I have is the Austin Flannery version of it. So it's worded a little bit different and the paragraphs are spaced different. So it takes me a minute to find some of the text from one to the other. So if you see, this is my version right here, Vatican II, Austin Flannery translation. And let's see, paragraph 82. In the meantime, okay. Okay, this is interesting because it looks like right here, the way that the Vatican text is translated, it says, men should take heed not to entrust themselves only to the efforts of some, while not caring about their own attitudes. Government officials who must at one and the same time guarantee the good of their own people and promote the universal good are generally dependent on public opinion and feeling. It does them no good to work for peace as long as feelings of hostility, contempt, and distrust, and racial hatred continue to divide men into camps. Consequently, there is above all a pressing need for renewed education. So brainwash young people not to care about themselves, their people, their heritage. And there's a specific section where it talks about nationalism. But that's in the let's see. Oh, this is it right here. Yeah. In order to, here's where I'm getting to. This is it. Section 2, setting up an international community. Look at that. International socialist goals, international socialism. Literally, you could read any of the Fabian socialist texts, any of the Marxist texts about their internationalist goals and agendas and how they speak. And it's exactly identical to this. In order to build up peace, and above all, the causes of discord amongst men, especially injustice, which foment wars, they must be rooted out. Now remember, we were just told that the church doesn't have any political and social mission, that Jesus gave it. But apparently the Vatican and the CIA and the Fabian Socialists are giving it a mission. Not a few of these causes come from excessive economic inequalities. Why are there wars? Because rich nations have more money than the poor nations. It's exactly what socialists always say. Other cause of discord relates to contempt, envy, distrust, pride, egotism, etc. Thus, what's the solution? Jesus and Christianity? No. The solution is organizing together in international bodies to create international organizations for global peace and the ending of war. That's what we just read earlier. That's the UN. All the stuff that Francis and all of his buddies promoted. That's UNESCO. That's the World Economic Forum. Remember, Klaus's mentor is the same mentor as Francis. Paulo Freire, the socialist, and then Archbishop Camara. Those are the mentors. Francis's mentor, Klaus's mentor. Camara, the liberation theologian, socialist. What is this? Liberation theology, socialism. So, did you even know that your own Vatican documents, all you Roman Catholics and you trad cats, that your documents actually teach the New World Order UN socialist agenda? Clear as day. And then guess what? There's more. We're not even done. Why has this problem persisted? Well, it turns out it's partly the fault of Christianity. You can't make this up. Already there exists international organizations helping the human race. Oh, thank you. Thank you, UN. They are laying the foundations for an international community, the New World Order. And Christians are helping to create this by working with non-Christians. The present solidarity of mankind calls for a revival of international cooperation in economics. International monopoly capital socialism. That's what this is. Now that all people have become autonomous, this unification is becoming difficult. The development of a nation depends on financial aid. Interesting. But remember, Jesus didn't give the church a political, social, and economic mission. This entire document is about the political, social, and economic mission of the United Nations supporting Vatican. Do you not see how stupid this is and how crazy this is? I'm trying to find the part where it says change of heart. It's supposed to be paragraph 82 at some point. That Christianity needs a change of heart. If I can find that. Here it is. Indeed, we all need a change of heart in regarding the world and the better unification and unison of the human race. So Christianity got it wrong for all these years. It needs a change of heart. What do you have obligations to? Turns out your obligations are to the international community. Again, everything this document has been saying over and over and over. In view of the increasingly close ties and mutual dependence today between all the inhabitants and peoples of the earth, the apt pursuit of efficacious attainment of the universal common good requires the community of nations organize itself into a manner suited to its present responsibilities, especially towards many parts of the world suffering from lack. If you're a wealthy nation, you are not helping and supporting humanity. You owe all of your money to the poor nations because of, why? Jesus and socialism. I mean, if you don't see a problem with this, I thought you guys were against the New World Order. This is the New World Order right here, okay? It is the United Nations and the Vatican has many, many times over said they like the United Nations. In fact, the Benedict the 15th was a supporter of the League of Nations. So it's not like this is some new post-Vatican II thing. Pope Benedict XV, if you have the Oxford History of the Popes, read his entry. It talks about him being a huge supporter of the League of Nations, which was a Fabian socialist agenda on record, as we've covered. This is also a Fabian socialist agenda. If you can't recognize it, I don't know what to tell you. Last paragraph of 84 is really wild. Watch this. Already existing international and regional organizations are certainly well deserving of the human race. In other words, the UN. What do you think he's talking about? The UN, the Fabian socialist organizations, that's the only ones that exist. That's what they're talking about. UNESCO. These are the first efforts at laying the foundation of the international community of all men working together to solve the problems of the human race, to progress everywhere, and to get rid of war. Again, did Jesus say he came to bring world peace? Or a sword? In all of these activities, the Roman Catholic Church takes joy in the spirit of brotherhood. Again, Masonic gibberish speak. To relieve human misery. I'm pretty sure Jesus said it is not the mission of the church to secure the temporal gains and the temporal health of world peace and of the nations. He said he came to bring a sword and to preach the gospel of repentance. This is the gospel of Fabian socialism and fixing the world. And if you've never read the Grand Inquisitor chapter, which I had a whole college class on the Grand Inquisitor chapter, this proves Dostoevsky was a prophet. Dostoevsky said, the papacy will ditch Jesus and will offer a world socialism answer to solving man's temporal problems. Here it is right here. Dostoevsky vindicated right there. Now, we hear a lot about contraception amongst Roman Catholics, and they love to beat this drum as if they have this moral high ground. I thought this is an interesting statement that doesn't really make sense with their moral high ground, because the last paragraph of 87 in keeping with man's inalienable rights to marry and to generate children, a decision concerning the number of children they will have depends on the right and the judgments of the parents. Oops. You Roman Catholics are amazing hypocrites. Your moral high ground isn't even in your own documents. Your own documents admit. Well, it's a contradiction. I wouldn't say that. I would even disagree with this. The decision of the number of children is a right of the parents? Does that fit with all your moral high ground about contraception? All right. Now there's more, but those are the high points of Gaudium et Spes, which is a document nobody ever covers. So hopefully you see very clear that like the Vatican is teaching socialism, internationalism, globalization. None of this has anything to do with what they taught even decades earlier with the Syllabus of Errors, saying that the church cannot be separated from the state. Even the world, the geopolitical power of the Roman See, you can't get rid of that. It's condemned if you try to. Night and day opposite. And if you can't see that, and by the way, I don't know if you know, there's like tons of condemnations of socialism in this Tan books, 16 papal documents. Do you know how many times they condemn socialism, right of private judgment, freedom of conscience, freedom of worship? Like every one of these papal documents is condemning, literally word for word, all the stuff that you just saw in Vatican II's Gaudium et Spes. If that's not clear enough, I don't know what else could be made clear to you guys. I mean, at that point, it's bad faith, right? It's like there's nothing that's going to convince you because you've joined a cult where literally the Pope can determine reality and truth at any moment. Brian, what's up? Did you want to say something? Unmute. Brian, unmute. Do you see the section? I mean, are you even able to read a section? Errors regarding the civil power of the Roman pontiff. I mean, it literally has giant bold text for you guys. What's up, Brian? Talk.
I don't really see that, Mr. Dyer. What's going on here?
You don't see what?
The document which you're referring to.
You don't see the document I'm referring to? What are you talking about? It's on the screen.
I see the space there, but I don't see anything else in the comments.
I'm on YouTube, dude. What are you talking about?
Oh, my bad.
Oh, my God.
I'm on X. Sorry.
Okay, so what do you disagree with that you don't see?
I don't disagree with anything, sir. Just I'm just listening more than speaking. Sorry about that. I pressed the button by mistake.
Yeah, obviously I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about YouTube. Young, what's up?
Yo. Yeah, that debate was pretty good. Something I think is an angle I think could have been explored there that I thought was super cool is at the start of the Actus Purus thing, Tim started explaining his answer. He started saying God entered into creation, and then he cuts himself off right away. And he restarts, he reformulates the sentence. It's like when, ChatGPT is like giving you an answer and it realizes mid-response it's like against TOS. I think the fact that it's just the incarnation just totally incompatible is such a killer. I think that's if you want to reach the the regular normie kind of people, especially the normie Catholics, that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to illustrate in the first round was that Actus Purus, God being reduced to pure act, makes the incarnation impossible. And particularly Philippians 2, in the kenosis passage, it's a very famous passage. Everybody who knows anything about Christianity, the Bible, should know about the kenosis text. The Son willingly limited himself to enter into time and space. End of debate right there. Johnny, what's up? Johnny, you want to unmute?
Hi, Jay.
Hey.
Hi. Look, I've been following you for the past. I'm from Spain. I've been following you for the past five years, and in Spain we have a saying that we are more papist than the Pope. I mean, we had the basic.
Wait, you have what? I can't hear. Slow down. Say that again. You have more what?
That we are more. There's a saying in Spain that we are more papist than the Pope.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Meaning that when we had the biggest geopolitical empire around the papacy, which was brought down by the Anglo sphere. And so one thing that I've noticed over the years, and just telling you a little bit about the sociological background here in Spain. I mean, let's say 95% of people, and I have family members, friends around, they can't even hold basic argumentation. They can't even they're not even interested for the most part. You send them basic stuff. It's just the same thing you were mentioning with Tim, right? So
right.
I think one of the things that emerges here, one of the questions that we have to ask ourselves as Orthodox is, I mean, is there a different, debates have a space, but is there a point to keep going on that direction? Because maybe there's other spaces. For example, right now in Spain, there's a lot of build-up around the issue of prophecy, right? As World War III is approaching, I'm listening to Dimitri Conrad. And, there's basically Roman Catholic apologists, people that are talking about new prophecies about China. This is going to bomb Russia with nuclear weapons. And I believe that, I have a bunch of points here, and I found more useful often to, point out, for example, that prophecies or bringing people to liturgy, talking through aesthetics, or even, for example, looking at the parallels between the history of Spain and the history of the papacy. How, for example, during Franco's time, you had these two technocrats. Opus Dei was very, very important. It's very important to show everything you've been talking about within the past hour, right? How basically through Spain, the Vatican is transformed into this kind of like globalistic geopolitical tool under the CIA. And so, that was another point. Maybe this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, it might be more effective to talk about other stuff and have other approaches. Absolutely, because I mean, it's almost like this has been beaten. It's a dead horse, beating the dead horse. On whatever. It's just been done so many times. And I'll give you guys the link. There's Gaudium et Spes. You can check all the quotes and the sources right there. Also, remember, you can follow me on X right here. I'll give you guys the X link. You can call in through the X link in the show description. Gainerzilla, $20. Congratulations on that win. No, I already read that. Excuse me. Young Finesser, $2. Jay, how is my favorite Orthodox Cholo doing? Doing good, bro. I barely made it today. I'm super tired, man. Austin Alvarez, $5. YouTube and I are actively sending money, and you can passively receive it. Well, if you actively give me money, I am passively giving money. You see how that works? According to Tim's logic about spiration, the Holy Spirit is the cause and a spirator by receiving his existence, inspiration, and then passively spirating and causing who or what? Himself, you see. So when you give me money, I actively also donate, and I am a person of great charity, because all that money passively is caused and donated to myself from me. See how that works? Glitchy Rhythm, $2. Don't worry, guys, I'm here now. Rolf Stakes became a 17-month member. Wow. Or member for 17 months. Maybe I misread that. Roman Catholics are saying neither of any of these represents the church. Their personalities. Do you have thoughts on that? Why wouldn't Tim or myself be representatives? So I don't even know what that means. I mean, somebody can say that, but like, you need to show that what I said about Catholicism or Orthodoxy was false. So that's really a meaningless statement unless they show how that's the case. Made by Jim Bob, $20. Hey, what's up, Jim Bob? Shout out to our good BFF, Jim Bob. Everybody be sure and follow Made by Jim Bob on his channel. He's killing it. He's doing a lot of funny streams, a lot of lengthy streams. He's doing a lot of debates. He's doing great work. Made by Jim Bob. He says, nice job. A lot of the technical stuff is over my head, but glory of God as a creature was pretty much the end of the debate. Yeah, I think everybody resonates with understanding that makes absolutely no sense. Even if you don't know Orthodox theology, like to say God has created attributes, I think most Roman Catholics realize, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Slowboy Whiteboard, $5. I wish you would have asked him, what is the point then when he says that you don't really have to follow what the Pope teaches if it's wrong? By the time of the third section, both he and I were exhausted. So there's probably a lot of things I just didn't even catch. JR, what's up? That was actually supposed to be a 2-hour debate, believe it or not. So the 2-hour debate ended up becoming almost like a 5-hour thing. So but I knew when we got there, like, and I don't think we're going to be able to cover 3 topics in 2 hours. What's up, JR? JR Ewing?
Yeah. So speaking to the guy who was asking earlier, just like with conspiracy theories 20 years ago, sometimes it takes a long time. Like you and I both, I mean, we've known each other for quite a while. So 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, nobody was even receptive to the idea that the Federal Reserve was private. Mm-hmm. And even within this realm of religious discussions,
right?
Maybe something sounds hopeless at the moment to be able to get through to people, but maybe in a couple of years, you might see a big breakthrough with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Like, I've seen the Overton window shift tremendously. Just take, for example, criticizing the Big Z and things in the Middle East. I had a blog in 2007 and 8. I wrote a lot of articles criticizing Big Z. And I had nobody aiding, helping, or supporting me. No one. I got threats. I got people told me that they knew where I worked. They were going to call and get me fired. They were, believe it or not, they were actually evangelicals that did that. And nobody was talking about that back then, except for like a few random sparse websites. Nowadays, everybody on Twitter, all they want to talk about is Zionism, Judaism, etc. Okay, so like that, the Overton window has definitely shifted. And I think John's absolutely right that it's very likely that it will continue to shift towards a lot of things being questioned, hopefully moving in the right direction.
Yeah, speaking of the big Z, if anybody wants a good book about Pope John Paul II and the big Z, it's actually a mainline book. It's called The Hidden Pope, The Untold Story of a Lifetime Friendship.
Yes, I have that book, yes.
Yeah, Changing the Relationship Between Catholics and Jews by Darcy O'Brien. And once again, just like many of the other modernist appeal books, they think it's this book that's going to be like a good thing back at the time it's written, where it's like, oh, there's this great relationship between Jews and Catholics. And now in the modern day, that might not be such a good thing.
Yes, here's the book right here. I've not read the entire book. I've read some chapters out of it because it was very relevant to me when I was a trad cat. So I made use of this book to try to disprove John Paul II being a saint and being anything that is worth listening to. And of course, it is still relevant because you go back and you check out John Paul II's lifetime friendship with Jerzy Kluger, who was a famous Jew, and John Paul's mission to try to make the Catholic Church essentially Judaized. He was very open about that. This is why he, as far as I'm aware, was the first pope to ever go in synagogues and pray in synagogue worship services, which is pretty wild. Like that I've never heard of this happening. Maybe there's some instance that I'm not aware of, but we've referred to it many times of John Paul II going and praying in the synagogue. That's actually a violation, by the way, of the canons, right? The canons of the first 1,000 years forbid anyone from doing this. So all you trad cats, all you people that LARP all day long talking about Big Z and people in the Middle East, get out of my ear. I'm not listening to any of you because you're all total hypocrites because you won't talk about this. It's your own church and leaders that are the masters of this, you hypocrites. KD, what's up? KD, what's up?
Hey, Jay, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, so just a quick thought on the debate. So I don't know if you happen to see, but so the morning after, Scholastic Answers had a stream, basically sort of reviewing this debate. He had someone on with him called Astro, and I'm not really familiar with Astro, but they were talking about...
Yeah, these are people who, this is a guy who's in Iran who hasn't, as far as I knew, claimed he was Roman Catholic apologist, but he'd never even been baptized. So,
okay. So,
and I've already interacted with him. What's the point?
So that puts some context. So they were talking about created grace and God's glory basically being a manifestation. So
a manifestation of what? What does that mean?
Of God, I guess, was their point.
Okay, is God's manifestation created or uncreated?
So it gets better. So someone in the chat said, yeah, Aquinas taught created grace, and by the way, so did Palamas. So if Gregory Palamas taught created grace, that was a surprise to me.
No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Everybody knows that's not true. That's ridiculous.
Right. So I dropped a quote in the chat from the Third Triads where Palamas clearly says, "Look, if you're justified by grace, and if you're justified by a creature, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So
anybody who's done like surface level reading would know that's not true.
Right. So he asks Astro to respond to this, and he says, "Well, yeah, but it can't be grace can't be uncreated because it's given in measure. Would you say that you have the same grace as Mary?" So, that's just a level.
That's actually an argument that Barliam makes, and Palamas addresses that and says God's grace is given without measure, but also with measure, and that's a antinomy that there is no explanation for, because you can't give parts of God, but in another sense, we don't get the fullness of God because we are always moving up into God. And that's because God transcends these dialectics. So this is actually a Cappadocian argument that's made, and Maximus covers this in the Ambigua, about how to refute Origenism and the idea of eternal stasis. There's not eternal stasis because we have a bodily resurrection. So we are always moving up into God. But a lot of the Eastern, or a lot of the Greek Hellenic philosophical thinkers thought, how could you have perfect eschatology without perfect stasis? Well, the assumption is that you must have perfect stasis. But we are beyond the dialectic of stasis and change, and thus we are in immovable. We are the way the Cappadocians phrase it is we are in eternally moving stasis. So there's a transition, there's a transcending of the dialectics, and that's what they don't understand because they're dialecticians and they're idiots. Andre, what's up?
Hello. And for some reason, I can't hear you now, even though I'm speaker.
I'm here. People are calling. This is all these Roman. I don't drink. This guy's calling me an alcoholic. I never drink. I haven't drank in almost 8 years. So this is like all you Roman Catholics have is this kind of stuff. Personal attacks. And it just shows the weakness of your position. That makes sense. I'd love for you to come debate and explain to me how any of the arguments are wrong, because all you guys have is this weak vagina stuff like that. And everybody knows I don't drink. So what's up, man?
Hey, man, I've been a huge follower of yours for a while. I'm not sure if I'm well equipped to debate you. I don't know if this would be a debate, but I do have like a good topic maybe you're interested in.
What?
Well, in terms of divination, like I guess my position or my what I'd like to ask you is like, are you completely against it? I know that's kind of like there in the Bible about? There is that that quote against divination and sorcery or whatever. But I do see, there's many accounts in the Bible where divination was actually approved by God in the Bible in terms of dreams, casting lots. Even Jesus was found.
That's not what. So divination is trying to gain secret knowledge from angels or demons. It is not the same thing as God giving a person a dream or a vision. That's not what divination is. Confused. What's up?
Jay, pardon my ignorance, but I'm trying to understand a Catholic perspective on the binding and loosing. So what makes different the binding and loosing of canons versus if a Catholic would make the argument that binding and loosing of the infallibility, or that you have to believe in the Pope for salvation? Couldn't that be a case of binding and loosing, because then later on it was revoked, I guess?
No, they're not supposed to believe that the dogmas of the church change because the Pope has binding and loosing. That's not what I've never heard of a Roman Catholic argue that. Doesn't mean that the Pope can't say that like I bind everybody to the Trinity in the 4th century, but nowadays I loose everybody from the Trinity. You don't have to believe it. That's ridiculous. I mean, but ironically, that's actually where the papacy position has evolved to, because they now think that what used to be natural law or natural justice in terms of the death penalty, Francis has now gotten rid of that because it's against the gospel. So they actually do believe that the Pope can change natural law. But that's what we get with the papacy, and try to bring that up, they hand wave it, they don't care. What's up, man? Ryan? I mean, who can read Leviticus 9 and believe that this is created? God's glory appeared to all the people. What's up?
Hey, Jay, I've heard many people ask you if there's salvation outside of the Orthodox Church, and many times you cited the thief on the cross as an example of God using extra normative means to do that.
Yeah, they're not outside the church, they're in the church.
So when I've heard you use that example, I just wondered, isn't the thief on the cross an example of the harrowing of hell more than it is, because that's old covenant still, right? So that's really not a good example.
No, it's not. He says you will be in paradise with me, so it's not the old covenant.
My understanding of it was that he would have went to Hades.
Does Jesus say that, or does he say that you will be with me in paradise?
He did say that, and he said the same day, and it could have been the same day because Jesus went to Hades and proclaimed the gospel and released the righteous captive. So, the thief could
Okay,
have
does
been
anybody
included in that.
is Abraham baptized?
No.
Does he go to heaven?
Yes.
How?
I guess through righteousness, right?
Okay, so there you go. That's what I've been arguing the whole time. What's up?
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, I had a quick question on.
I'm not taking Q&A questions unless you disagree. I said that about 20 times. So what's your point?
Oh, nothing. I'll just make something real quick. So if the Roman Catholics, if they claim that they have the correct view on the Eucharist, which is transubstantiation, how are we any different if like our patriarch, I think Dositheus declares it? I know that the term is nuanced, but could you like explain like how
Any different on what?
Like the matters of like infused merits and like I'd say
What do you, we don't believe in infused. I have no idea what you're talking about. What does infused merits have to do with the Eucharist? What are you talking about?
Because well in our confession it used that term, and I'm wondering what the nuance is. What would be the difference? Decree 17 of the Confession of Dositheus in the Synod, 1672.
Decree what?
Decree 17.
So you think? I'm trying to figure out what your argument is about the Eucharist. Tell me what it is.
Yeah, basically, like if a Roman Catholic says, like, well, you guys have the same views of Eucharist as us, and we have the word transubstantiation.
It's not a question of the word. It's a question of how the divinity is present, and it's already been stated at the Council of Ephesus and Saint Cyril that it's the energies that are present that deify and change the flesh. So deified flesh is only possible through the divine energies. This is about this decree and this statement is not treating of or dealing with the more specific questions of how he's present, right? So it's not going to answer that question. So the language that's used, because it's Latin language, this is also a translation into Western language using Latin terminology, has nothing to do with, it's not even addressing the sense in which the divinity is present, which has already been covered multiple times over. If you listen to me, you would know that I talk about the 2 letters of Cyril to Sixcensis. It's not the divine essence. It's the divine energies that are present. That's the only way to be deified, because nobody believes that we partake of the divine essence. So where is this treating of the divine energies?
Yeah, I think the problem is that I think someone pulled up a quote of the patriarch Dositheus. I think he says like he is grateful for the Latins to defend the doctrine transubstantiation. So my question is like, if he viewed it that they had like kind of like the same view, like what would be like the nuance? Because
no, I'm not sure that he does, because in the Norman Russell text it says that he translated and enforced all the Palamite Synod decrees. So I'm not sure that I believe that. But even if he did, I mean, he could be mistaken thinking that the Roman Catholics have the same doctrine. But do you understand that it's not talking about the essence energy distinction, which St. Cyril says is the only way to understand the presence of Christ in the Eucharist?
Okay, yeah. All right. Thank you for explaining that. Thanks, Jay.
No problem. I'm not trying to be rude. I didn't understand at first what he was going to merits, but now I understand what he's getting at. Rockonification, what's up? I'm not taking any FAQ questions, by the way. I'm looking for people who disagree. Nick, $5. Great debate, Jay. On a lighter note, we buy the dips, slow boys. Yeah, Bitcoin dipped again. People could find a spot to buy in if they wanted to. Here it might be good. I don't know if we'll go lower, but like in the long run, any dip is good. Rockonification, unmute.
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, I was wondering if you could maybe expand a little bit on the clarification you gave a little while ago about how the way that God communicates information is not divination. Specifically, I'm wondering about and I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but there's something in the Old Testament called Urim and Thummim, I think.
Are you Mormon?
Because no, sir, I'm Orthodox. I just don't know about this.
Right.
I always thought that was
if
a
God
way-
ordains it to be done that way, that's not divination. Divination is trying to seek spiritual knowledge or information from angels and demons or even God in ways that God has not laid down, such as augury or sorcery or whatever. If God says you can utilize to the Israelites the Urim and the Thummim, then it's not divination. It's fine. I'm not sure why people. I'm not trying to be rude. I just don't really understand why that's. It's pretty clear to me. Knight, what's up? Knight, you want to unmute?
Hello.
Uh-huh. What's
yeah,
up?
how are you? Yeah, I'm from Gambia, and I've been following you here, since like 2 months,
Okay.
Hello.
I'm having a hard time understanding it, but what's your question?
Yeah, I'm interested, in orthodoxy, but, the country in which I live, like, the Orthodox is not, that much powerful here,
Hey, well, I understand that that's difficult. You do the best you can, but I'm not taking questions. Today we're doing questions of people who disagree, so I'm not trying to be rude to you, but I said specifically many times over, maybe you just got here, look for people who disagree. Otherwise, I'm not doing the FAQ stuff. What's up? Matt, what's up? J. Dyer is Rosicrucian grifter scum. What the hell are you talking about? Rosicrucian? I don't believe anything remotely close to Rosicrucianism. I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe in alchemy. Like, that's literal, just total gibberish. You want to call in and demonstrate how I'm a Rosicrucian? Please do so. Matt, are you going to talk or not? What's up, man? This doesn't even make any sense. Rosicrucian scum? What the fuck are you talking about? Inquire longer, $2. I went to my first divine liturgy. Unfortunately, it was an ecumenist priest. Well, sorry to hear that.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hey, sorry, man. It just glitched out on me. First of all, I wanted to say, awesome debate, landslide W. But similar to a few guys before, I was wondering if you could help me understand the RC perspective on something. So Tim was using the passage in John where Jesus says, all that the Father has, he has given to me, to prove the filioque. And maybe I'm just too dumb to understand this, but then he then says that the Son doesn't have generation, only the Father has generation, and that spiration and generation is different.
Right, that's called a contradiction. So, exactly.
Okay.
But, yeah, good question. Brody Bushnell, $10. The fruits of the papacy are very evident. I applaud you even being able to debate any of this with a straight face. Thank you. It's people who feel my pain. David James Flood, £5. I bought 2 World Wars and Tiny Mustache Man that's put out by Trine Day. It was a great book, unbelievable amounts of research. It will become a classic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think Chris is going to send me a copy of that. And he said that he's finished the index for Esther Hollywood 3. And I think he said his goal is to send it to the printer next week. So, thank you, Chris. Awesome. Did you hear that? So, a lot of people are waiting on their Esoteric Hollywood 3 order. It's going to the printer next week, according to Chris. He hopes to be able to get it to the printer next week. I think it's looking good. He did send me the most recent copy. It has the entire index in it. Joseph Siambra, $5. Jay, the most humorous part of the debate is at 3 hours, 23 minutes in when you asked him to give the book back. Yeah, because it was just not going. I mean, it was making me mad because I felt like he was bogging the debate down in the topic of universal ordinary magisterium not being infallible when it obviously is. And he admitted to me privately after the debate that he was wrong about that. I wish he had said that on air, but whatever. It's not even an issue. But we didn't even get into the argument. I tried to squeeze it in at the ending because it was like, well, if this is 900 years of papal teaching about geopolitical power, it's universal ordinary teaching. Doesn't matter whether it's not ex cathedra, it's still universal teaching. No, but it goes away. You can hand wave it. One shot, big fat win. You totally cooked, absolutely floundered. He panicked like a squirrel when you went into dogmatic contradictions of Vatican I and II. That's because I think Tim has a soft spot for traditional Catholic argumentation, and he leans that way. And I think he knows deep down that you're not going to make Vatican II work. We didn't even get to go into the Vatican II statements about the post-Vatican II's attempt to get rid of the Good Friday prayers about people in the Middle East being perfidious and accursed and all that. If I recall, when he debated one of the Roman Catholic guys that he disagrees with, he was defending the idea that this was a change. Tim says that Pope Francis contradicts, and his statement in Amoris Laetitia on divorced people receiving communion is a contradiction. So I mentioned that, but that was never addressed. JB, $5. Everybody immediately starts cooking up their catechumen questions. Yeah, I specifically told you guys I'm not answering your catechumen questions today. And I said, if you do ask them, I'm just going to boot you. I'm going to move on, but then you're going to get mad at me. So the only reason I cave on that is because I know the way the internet works and butthurt people, oh, you didn't answer my question. And then they'll turn into angry harassers for the next 5 years because of something stupid like that. Even though I said I'm not answering catechumen questions today. And I'm just going to be more forceful on it and just let people get butthurt and mad. I will not answer your catechumen question today. Don't even bother asking me. I'm just going to literally just move on. And if you're butthurt, that's your fault. JB, member of 6 months. Liberals say morals are determined by consensus. Roman Catholics, Catholicism has the most people, therefore it's true. This is atheist level logic. Yeah, you can tell that to the guy that called in at the beginning. John Kimball, $5. France, Spain, Portugal are literally becoming Muslim. Well, the Muslims are also praying in Catholic churches, reading the Quran in the Catholic churches. I don't know if you know that. There's plenty of clips of this, especially in Germany, places like that, Austria. But why is that a problem? Because all the Roman Catholics, if you remember the last month, they had a devastating defeat a couple nights ago. Remember the devastating defeats a month ago? That they all worship the same God as the Muslims? And they brought on gay professors to defend us? I mean, have fun, Roman Catholics. It's time to move on. I mean, I don't know how else to, we're at the point where we get these people with these gay crash outs. Okay, it's over. They're done. I'm not talking about Tim, I'm talking about the other guy. Rolf Stakes, $20. Did Roman Catholicism fall to atheism in the French Revolution, and then it fell to Protestantism, then the Reformation? Thus, how do they think that Constantinople is known? Yeah, if that's the proof, then Rome is refuted by Protestantism, atheism, the French Revolution, and Constantinople falling when it's uniate. I mean, this is how stupid these people are. Gabriel. But that disproves orthodoxy. Rome falls when it's uniate, and thus disproves orthodoxy. That's what? Gabriel? Gabriel, what's up?
Hey man, sorry.
What do you disagree with?
Look, I'm trying to save Christianity.
What do you disagree with? I'm taking disagreements.
Okay. I disagree with the predilection of Scripture.
The what?
Of prioritizing Scripture over the observation of God's creation.
Okay, who does that?
Sorry, I can barely hear you. Anyway.
Who is doing that? Who are you saying is prioritizing Bible over creation? Who are you calling out? Who does that?
Orthodox followers that that I've discussed with. Like, I've had theological discussions with. I'm curious.
Okay, state what their position is and why it's wrong. Give the argument, please.
Like, I've encountered this recurrent argument that this world is the kingdom of Satan.
The world itself isn't. The world system that is in opposition to God is the kingdom of Satan, but the world itself is created good. It's not of Satan. That's Manichaeanism or dualism. We don't believe that.
Yeah, that's what I've responded.
Okay, well, then we don't disagree, so I'm not sure what the debate is, but moving on. Christopher Scott, $5. I went to my first Divine Liturgy. It was a great experience. I want to say thank you. Thank you. Journey of Abundance, $20. What would you say to a cessationist who says that the perfect has come in 1 Corinthians 13? But even after Paul wrote Corinthians, there's still miracles. So how does that, I don't understand how that, so are we supposed to believe that after Paul wrote to the Corinthians, there have never been miracles in the church? I mean, aren't there miracles in the book of Acts? I don't understand. Well, I mean, ultimately the perfect is the eschaton. So I don't understand how this is an argument against miracles. Onyx Rock, $5. The more horrible Roman Catholic arguments Jay hears, the quicker he results to his final form of being Gordon Ramsay. It is very difficult to have these really low tier ones, like when we had Zachary just saying just dumb stuff, which we've responded to. Like, it's just it's disrespectful to come on the stream and repeat really dumb low tier arguments as if that hasn't been responded to 1,000 times, even if you disagree. Like, to come on here and just say that, it's kind of disrespectful. Jordan Darrow, $2. Rome is right because we have romaine lettuce. Might as well argue that. Yeah. Stevie, $5. I know it's still early, but you've been on quite the heater lately. Heater. What do you think about the chance of winning this year's top Christ following man? That's a Righteous Gemstones joke. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I think you got to be gay to get that, so I don't want that. Light in the Dark, what's up? Pondering Metaphysics, $5. I had to leave that debate midway. Did you respond to claims that the Orthodox view of councils is epistemically circular? It was a J win. No, there wasn't really any time to respond to every assertion. Mark Medlick, $10. Jay, you forgot that Pope Katy Perry and Cardinal Pizza Hut said that they liked Jesus a little bit, so Vatican I and II were misinterpreted. The Novus Ordo is done, and the traditional Latin Mass is coming back. You need to submit to Rome, even though they're shutting down the traditional Latin Masses. Yeah. Eric Z, $5. All the Rockfin podcasts are down. I'm sure if they're down, it's probably temporary. I don't think it's done. I don't know why it's down at the moment, but I'm sure it'll eventually come back. Are they gone for good? Not that I've heard. If Rockfin is done or if they go down or something like that, I would definitely let you guys know, but I haven't heard that as of yet. Noah, what's up? Sometimes websites go down for, maintenance or whatever. Noah?
Hi.
Hey.
How would you respond to the idea that Orthodox Christian values are antithetical to American values?
Well, I mean, Jesus takes precedence over American values, so it'd be an odd line of argument. What are the American values that we're supposed to submit to, or that are better than Orthodox?
I'm not saying that they're better or not. I guess what I'm getting at is the idea that American values that are established through the founding fathers and their writings.
Well, that would just be Enlightenment idolatry.
Right.
So
how I guess how do you, as an American and an Orthodox Christian, do both without? I mean,
how did a Christian in the 3rd century support Rome without supporting pagan Roman values?
They created alternate systems.
I mean, the church is that alternate system.
Correct.
Anyway, good question. I'm not taking basic. I appreciate that, but I'm not doing kind of basic Q&A. We're doing people who disagree. So do not call me in. Do not call in unless you disagree. We do open Q&As all the time. I'm only taking people that disagree. So Andrew, please don't ask me a FAQ question. Just please tell me where you disagree. Otherwise, moving on. Andrew, what's up? Unmute.
Hey, nice debate there. One thing I noticed that Tim did, like a lot of Roman Catholics did there, was they brought up the monophysites in regards to saying, "Oh, that's a different orthodoxy." Why do they keep doing that?
They think that this is an argument against us, as if because someone schisms from us, that disproves us, or that we can't determine who's Orthodox because the term Orthodox is used. Well, by that line of argumentation, if the Orthodox Catholic Church uses the term Catholic versus the Roman Catholic Church, then we couldn't determine what the Catholic Church is because it's using the term Catholic. I mean, this is like really low-tier argumentation. I also think they don't realize that if you're going to argue that schisms disprove the church being the true church, then if the Roman Catholic Church was the church of the first 1,000 years, then the Orthodox schism disproves it. I mean, it's kind of amazing that they don't see why that's such a stupid argument. I mean, the Protestants split from the Roman Catholics, therefore the Roman Catholic Church is fake. It's false. Because there's these schisms. Like, again, are you not catching how this is a dumb argument? If we can't determine between the Orthodox and the Oriental Church because both call themselves Orthodox, then by that same line of argument, we can't determine between the Roman Catholic and the Orthodox because they both call themselves Catholic. I mean, this is so stupid. Like, wow. Rigovich, $5. I'm sad and confused. Nick's behavior was odd. I was enjoying him. He takes swipes at you in orthodoxy, but it's very prideful, it's scornful, it's wrong. If I remember your work, you were usually respectful. I think so, yeah. CA, California, $10. I'm a long-time listener. Please don't read this. Okay, I won't. He talks about some kind of crypto. Young Finesser, $2. Jay, you're my favorite cholo. Thank you. I'm making sure I didn't miss anything on the Streamlabs here. Buddy P, we have an objective. 20 donations. Somebody help us get to those stickers. Yeah, there is a goal of super chats if you guys want to help fulfill that goal. Nick, $10. Have you noticed that the Roman Catholics are saying Scripture is really all you need to prove the papacy? But when Jay used the Scriptures to prove that Muslims and Christians don't worship the same God, they melted out and said that it was Protestant sola scriptura. Exactly. That's a really good one there. That's a great super chat. That's probably the super chat of the night right there. That was a good catch. Jay Raymond, $5. Why is a Muslim in Italy? Because of open borders. All right, let's see. Gen Z, $5. The Serbian Orthodox Church I went to had a fair, and I helped out. It was a lot of fun. The Serbs are great people. I will enjoy, I think, becoming part of the Orthodox community. Yeah, the Serbs are awesome. Rachel Wilson, $10. You and Andrew like or have the same favorite video games. Oh, that's cool. I think I remember Andrew saying he liked to play role-playing games. And then I remember the first time that we all went out to eat, we were talking about, in Nashville, we were talking about gaming and games, but I don't remember which ones he said he liked. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Final Fantasy VII Part 2. And that's because I'm really pissed off from Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1. Because I got screwed over by going to the boss too soon. And if I wanted to, I'd have to basically go back halfway. And I don't want to, I'm not doing like 30 hours of Final Fantasy over again. So it pissed me off, and there was no save between that to like not be at the final boss, and it just sucks. So But I was enjoying it. I remember I got super sick and in 2023. And I basically just sat there playing Final Fantasy VII Remake for like, I don't know, 3 days. And then I like accidentally got to the boss and I'm like, oh no. And then I'm screwed. So, and the same thing happened in Final Fantasy 15, which pisses me off. So, I guess I could then start this one when I'm done with this year's. I do always save. I'm actually pretty autistic about saving. So, but the reason was the reason I wasn't autistic about saving was because I didn't realize I was that close to the final boss. So, and the same thing happened on Final Fantasy. I get the numbers mixed up. Whichever one is the one that Florence and the Machine did the song for. And then it's like, I'm so weak that as soon as I step into the fight with the boss, he kills me. So it's like, there's literally no way you could beat the boss at the level that I'm at. And I'm like, why would they even let you get to the boss if you're this weak? It doesn't make any sense. Is it 14? Let's see what 14 is. I think it's...
This is Final.
Is this right? This doesn't
With
look
that,
right.
it should be running even better.
Am I thinking of 13? Maybe I'm thinking of 13. I'm lost. I have no idea. I don't even know what's going on. What the heck is even going on, man? Is it 13? No, I'm thinking it is 14. I did play 13. I think I played them all. Okay, no, I am thinking of 14. What is it? Shadowbringers? This isn't it. Or is this? Dude, I'm totally confused. I don't even know what is going on. I don't know what game is what. What the heck is going on? I don't know. Like, none of this makes any sense. Am I in some alternate reality? None of this is even... I don't remember any of this. Oh my gosh. Okay, which one did Florence and the Machine do the song for? Because that's the one I'm thinking of. $15. Yes. Okay, so the same thing happened with 15, which I was actually really enjoying. A lot of people were dissing on that when it came out. I thought it was pretty fun. I liked it. It's different, but I was into it. Anyway, it pissed me off though. I'm still mad. I'm still salty about it. What are we Why are we talking about this? Nobody cares about this. Thank you guys who would hit like and share. I think 14 is the... Oh, yeah, I never played 14. That's it. 14 I never played. I did play 13. 13 was good. I knew there's one I didn't play, and that was 14. That's right. Sincere Hypocrite. If the Orthodox split from the East and the Orientals split from the Fourth Council, then the Orthodox Church is the first church, the true millennium. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, exactly. If you follow through with this weird line of argumentation, you can just flip that argument. Orthodox Bernice is $2. It's crazy to call the American founding fathers. Well, if you're an Americanist, then that's your church fathers, right? Waiver frequency $5. Dyer by fire. Exactly. Bobby D $20. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, man. Kitsuike $10. Amazing job in the debate. It seemed like you lost your composure when he kept dodging. It is very difficult when you're doing debate like that, especially if it's really long, and you start to feel like your opponent is being intentionally evasive. That gets really it's really frustrating, and it's very hard because your frustration and your temper starts rising. And I did actually eat a ginger chew at one point, if in the debate. I don't know if you noticed that. God bless you. Thank you. You were rock solid, however, on your points. Thank you. Yeah, but I mean, dude, at the end of the day, okay, well, oh, whoa, somebody got heated in a debate. Whoa, like, I mean, this is what dudes do. Like, it's not even a big deal. A lot of you weirdos that are, like, super effeminate that don't have actual masculine friends, like guys get in fights, okay? Guys do this kind of stuff. It's not a big deal. If you're a normal dude, it's not a big deal. That's just normal male testosterone and male activities. Okay, when you're a kid, you're on the playground, you start talking smack to some other dude, you guys have a fight, your best friend's playing Nintendo the next night. That's how dudes work. That's just how dudes are. And like people not understanding this, it's because you're weird. Let's see. We still got more super chats here. Zach Silvas, $33, the guy that called in. Hey, he wants to send me $33 after we have that pretty heated exchange. That's sweet of you. I appreciate that, dude. Thank you for debating me, Jay. It was actually fun. I will do more research on the idea of the 3 C's. I'll look at Vatican I and get back to you. God bless. Well, thank you. I appreciate your positive attitude. That was. I thought we had a bad ending there, but I appreciate your attitude. Let's see. I don't know why the Rockfin podcasts are down. Hopefully I'm sure they'll be back up soon. If Rockfin is down, I'll let you guys know. But I will say this, alt tech platforms are great, but it's really hard for them to succeed. And I've not heard of Rockfin going down. I don't know of any information about that. But if that does happen to happen, I'm sure everybody's subscriptions will cancel or whatever. But I've not heard of this. It's probably just retooling the site or something. But remember, you can always follow me on my website, jaysanalysis.com. All the archives are there. So be sure and subscribe. If by chance something did happen on any alt platform, you can always go to jaysanalysis.com and get access to the archives there. And also you can become a member here on YouTube as well. But not everything in the member section on the site is on YouTube, obviously. Let's see here. Disgruntled Docs, $5. Rome has Skittles guys making outfits for the Pope. Yeah, did you guys see that? That like this super gay dude is like the papal fashion designer or whatever. I was like, but what dude in fashion isn't a gay dude? Like, why is anybody surprised by that one? Let's see, that's funny. Iconomat, $10. Thank you. Keep up the great work. It would have been a better way to ask my question on here. No problem. Mark Medic, $2. How do we fast in America if McDonald's has a Big Mac? Pfft. Dude, are you serious? I haven't eaten McDonald's or even thought about nasty ass McDonald's in probably 20 years. I probably had the last time I had anything from McDonald's was probably an Egg McMuffin one morning before work for breakfast, probably in 2005, probably 20 years. No, I went into McDonald's to piss one time. That's the only time I've been near a McDonald's in 20 years. Misplaced Burrito, 27 Canadian. Have you played God of War? Yes. I played at least 2 of them. I don't think I played all of them. I did enjoy God of War. It was fun. There was a Castlevania on PlayStation 3. That was a lot of fun. Dante's Inferno on PlayStation 3 was fun. There was some really good PS3 games. Final Fantasy, what was it, 11 or 12 on PS3? That was a lot of fun. That was a blast. Panos, $5. Shout out to our boy Panos. What's up, man? How you doing? Jay, check out Patristic Nectar. There's a discussion where Dr. Tikhon Pino is translating St. Photius's philosophical work called the Amphilochia and it is very similar in philosophical scope to St. Maximus's text Ambiguo. Oh, wow. That's going to definitely be a necessary purchase. Thank you so much, Panos. I have to write that down because I won't remember. Dr. Tikon. It's going to be great when more and more of these Byzantine texts get translated over the next several years. That's going to be a lot of fun. And it's called the Amphilosia. I wonder when that's going to be out. That's going to be a necessary purchase. Venantium Emperor, $5. Great job on the debate, Jay. I have a catechumen question. Do any of the catechumens have priests? You could have asked after the Divine Liturgy at Coffee Hour for the Slow Boys. Yeah, I mean, I also think though that a lot of priests don't have a lot of the harder, like the challenging theological issues. A lot of Orthodox priests might not be studied on, and I think that's why a lot of people ask, the catechumen questions, which I don't mind. It's just at a certain point, I'm looking for disagreements. Andre, where do you disagree? Andre, where you disagree? I'm mute.
Oh, hey. So, would you be open to talking about Kabbalah and Golden Dawn?
What does that have to do with what we're talking about? What do you mean?
Well, it says debate any topic.
Okay, so what do you disagree on? You're saying that you like ritual magic? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I would say that. And I would say that it's referenced different times in the Bible. For example, the Lord's Prayer is a direct
no, I'm sorry. It's just that's too stupid. I'm not doing it.
The Lord.
There's no ceremonial magic in the Lord's Prayer. Come on. Andrew Zhang, $5. Is there an Oriental Orthodox reunion? I don't know. I was told by a scholar that they're almost there. Hopefully it will happen in a lifetime. I don't know. Chris, $5. Have you ever thought about doing a deep dive analysis into a game IP? What is an IP? Final Fantasy has feminism, crystals, but Warhammer 40K is sick. I don't know what a game IP is, but yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy has Kabbalah in it, so I've never played Warhammer, so I'm not sure. Maddie, 2 pounds. Yes, playa. Ziga mode activate. Troorthodox, $10. If President Trump were to personally cook and serve you McDonald's and fries, would you accept it? Yeah, in that case I would. Because it'd be like when we met with the Italian princesses at their winery. I'm not going to not drink their wine. I mean, that'd be a huge insult. Great Scott, $2. Did you play Red Dead Redemption 2? No, I did not. I remember when it came out, and that was back at the time of, I remember Worski talking about it. I think that was during the time of Bloodsports and all that. I cannot find Jay's Instagram. It's right here. I'll show it to you. Wait, that's not my Instagram. Here we go. Here's my Instagram in the chat. I'll put it here for you guys. They're asking. I think it's Jay's Analysis is why people. It's not my name because I don't know why. Whenever I signed up for Instagram, I just didn't think to put. I should have put my name, but I didn't think to at the time. Lean, $5. Brother, you lived through the prime time of Halo, and all you do is play Weeb games. No, I played Halo. I played a shit ton of Halo. In fact, I got really good at battle mode, but I stopped because it was taking up so much of my time. So, no. See, you guys make all these assumptions. Did I ever say I only played Final Fantasy? No, never said that. You just assumed that. I played a lot of games over the years, but I also gradually grew to play less and less games. So, that's why. Can you put a link to your Discord? I can. The thing is, I don't usually use the Discord very much. I'm in there, and a lot of people have good conversations and all that, which you're welcome to go and join. But I don't run it. I don't have time to run it. But I will give you guys the link here to sign up. There's a lot of great mods and people in there, so you're going to find camaraderie, and you'll find some bros and whatnot, and some sisters and all of that. Used to be David Erhan was running it, but then Turkey put a ban on Discord, so now it's like Father Deacon Ananias, Chase, Dick, Justin, Autocratic, and some other people run it. So here is the link. Here you go. Everyone asks for my Discord link. It's not really my Discord anymore. I don't have time for it. Dan, $5. Jay is using AI to complete my homework. Sinful. I mean, it's lazy, so sloth is kind of a sin. It feels wrong, but it makes school less time consuming. I went to my first Divine Liturgy. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree with BLA. It's time to ban phones and AI in schools. No, David Erhan didn't get banned from Discord. Turkey banned Discord. Not David Erhan. Yeah. If Jay says I ate pancakes, somebody would say, why does Jay hate waffles? Yeah. I played a lot of games, dog. We could just turn this into like a commenting on game stream if we wanted to. Oh, did I shut down the questions? Are we still here? I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and end the chat. I don't think we're getting any more calls over there. We could talk about, maybe we should talk about games, because I don't really feel like going through all these retarded reels. They're funny though, and I'm kind of burnt out on bitching about Roman Catholics. It's just gotten so old. I mean, at this point, it's like, how many times we got to talk about all the same stuff? And I'm actually looking forward to playing video games again once the stream is over. I was going to go into Cardinal Manning, because he was actually part of the Rothschild's Inner Circles, if you didn't know that. That's actually in Anglo-American Establishment by Quigley. Elden Ring. Everybody said Elden Ring was really time-consuming. See, here's the thing. They don't make video games to where you beat them in, a set number of hours. The Indiana Jones game was awesome, though. I did play the PS5 Indiana Jones game. That was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed it because it was an adventure game that didn't take days. I played Shadow Colossus. That was a classic. That was a lot of fun. I played significant amounts of Black Ops. Was fun. Dark Souls, I tried it. It was too hard. And I understand, you're a wuss. But I don't want to put that much time into a game. What I need is a game that's fun, that doesn't take all of my time to beat. Last game I really enjoyed was the Indiana Jones on PS5. And before that was Silent Hill on PS5. That was a blast. Had a lot of fun playing Silent Hill on PS5. That's my kind of game, dude. That was one of the best games I played in a long time. For me and Jamie, we love playing Mario Kart. And I'm a master of Mario Kart. I dare say very few of you would be able to beat me in Mario Kart. I've been playing Mario Kart a lot since it came out. So I'm like 25 years in the Mario Kart, dog. I'm talking about back to 64, back into we're going into the 90s, because Tommy and I, my buddy that passed away, we would just have epic like N64 Mario Kart battles, races back into the 90s. So I'm going to have to actually say that, like, I'm like a 30-year veteran of Mario Kart, dude. Yeah, at least 95. You know what we should figure out how to do? We should figure out some way that I can play you guys in video games. That actually sounds like a lot of fun. What if, like, all of the audience over here that liked games, I know not all of you do, but what if all of you guys who did like it played me? Is that possible? Can you have, like, I mean, I know you can add your friends on, you know, this on Twitch and whatever, and on PlayStation and all that, but did you get the new Mario Kart and Switch 2? No, I've not gotten Switch 2. In fact, when we were at Tim Pool, after the debate with Tim Gordon on Tim Pool, do you know what Tim Pool did? He immediately went and bought the Switch 2 and hooked up the new Mario Kart. And we had to leave right when they finally got it going. I've tried gaming streams, but you guys don't watch them. When I did Silent Hill and Resident Evil streams, we get like 10,000 views versus 30,000 views. So nobody really finds them that interesting, or maybe it's only a third of the audience are gamers, so maybe that's why. There are plenty of games that you can play with your audience looking into them. I'm not talking about streaming them. I'm actually playing, like, I'm thinking, like, how can I play you guys in Mario Kart? That actually sounds like a lot of fun. I don't know how that would work, though. Mr. Bobbles, $10. What is your take on the Hussites? Have you been asked that? Jan Hus? I think Rocor has a lot of respect for Jan Hus, and there's a lot of areas of the Russian Orthodox Church that honor him. I don't know if he's totally a saint, but he's honored and respected. And I think a lot of what Huss said was correct and has been vindicated. You can start a lobby. Would I have to share the lobby link here? You would just have to add us on the platform. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I remember like Vince and Nick and other people were doing Warski. Maybe they were doing Black Ops against each other, and then Anthony Cumia was like playing his audience in Black Ops, and I'm like, how do they do this? How are they doing this? I don't know how to do it. Friend code. Yeah, well, I know that. I think at one time I did actually add some of this audience to Black Ops back in the day, like maybe in 2020. I think during COVID I played some of you guys in Black Ops. That was a long time ago though. But we might have done that through Discord. Troy Orthodox, $10. Battlefield 6 beta was very fun the past few weekends. The game is actually releasing in October. It's supposed to be a war in 2027 when NATO splits up due to false flags through deep corporate pockets. That actually sounds fun. Battlefield 6 beta? Interesting. With Call of Duty, it's either Xbox or PlayStation. So, yeah, I have PS5. And then I have Switch 1, not the Switch 2. Who is Jan Hus? The famous reformer, Jan Hus. Volturo, $5. Have you played, or have you seen Tron Legacy? Yeah, I did a article on it on my old website. You can read my Tron Legacy analysis, and then I did a Tron 2 analysis too. The sequel is coming out called Tron Ares. Yeah, I saw the trailer, and I don't like Disney at all, but I actually thought that trailer looked like it might actually be all right. I was impressed with the trailer, and I'm not at all a fan of Disney, but War Thunder's $5. Jackbox Party Pack is designed for large audience participations in a game. Oh, there we go. What is that, and what system is that for?
limitless.
Oh, is this a game that you play with a large audience?
Travel to a land filled with trivia-obsessed monsters and use teamwork to battle for victory in Legends of Trivia. Hit the gritty, crime-filled streets to learn which of you is the secret...
Maybe. That might work. I was thinking of actually playing people in the audience, though. Like, me versus 8 of you in a Mario Kart Grand Prix or whatever. Can you create your own party in Mario Kart? I don't know. Jordan Deerdog, $5. If you do online multiplayers, you might get more viewers. Sea of Thieves will be hilarious to watch you and Jamie play it. Sea of Thieves. What is that? Is that pirate game? Yeah.
I played Sea of Thieves for the very first time. As a new player, I had making double gold at the moment. Pretty good time to play it, but too crazy. Alright. I've anchored and I'm just gonna fight it. I'm gonna fight it. What do I do? What do I do? Fight. Yay, I got you.
That looks like it could be fun. They should make a Pirates of the Caribbean game. That'd be good. Volturo. We did that. Fredo, $5. There's a PC native port of Mario 64 with online multiplayer. No, I'm not gonna do all that. I don't even have my. I don't know how to hook up a PC. I don't know how to do that. I'm just talking about. But wait a minute, you can't. I forgot. You can't stream Mario and Mario Kart, can you? Is that why you're saying the PC port? I forgot you because I remember one time I was going to try to live stream Mario, but you can't because for some reason they don't let you do that. I forget why. Remember, we do have a show sponsor, which is Chalk.com, the best in supplementation on the internet. Head on over to Chalk.com and use the promo code JAY40 to get 40% off all those great products. JAY40. Chalk.com, the best in supplementation out there. Also, you can use the promo code JAY44LIFE. That's J44LIFE, JAY44LIFE, to get 44% off if you get a recurring subscription. And you can, of course, unsubscribe at any time. You don't have to keep doing it. But I think if you get into Chalk, if you get into using the products, you will want it coming on the regular. And Chalk makes it easy to do with the recurring subscription model, especially that performance stack. You're not going to pay $174. You're going to pay 44% off of that with JAY44LIFE. Going to get you back in the gym. Going to get you back in your prime mode. That's what we would promote over here on JaysonHustle.com. With pairing it out with obviously with a healthy diet and all that. Chalk cannot be beat. Boost your testosterone naturally with the Tonkat Elite. Now, this is a big week. I'm taking a break, of course, not from you guys or from the internet, but debating. I feel like we've said what we need to say. And I'm sick of debating Roman Catholics, and this was kind of, I think, a good close to the years of debating Roman Catholics. I'm not saying I won't do any more debates ever again, but from now on, the only time I'm going to be doing debates, public formal debates, is if it's a huge channel, it's going to grow me, and it's a big person. That's it. No more low tier idiots. I will do open calls, so people can still call in if they disagree. But unless it's big people, if it's not Sam Harris or some big name person, there's no point for public debates. I don't know who else to do it. I was really good at Smash Brothers. We used to do Smash Brothers tournaments back in the 2000s. It was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed talking about the geopolitics of Vatican II and the socialism in Gaudium et Spes. We didn't get to a lot of the other stuff, but that's okay. I'm really tired from. I mean, we had to drive all the way down to the bottom of Florida to do the debate last night. Then we drove all the way back. So I'm super tired, and I'm going to Oasis. I don't run the Discord. I don't vet people. That's not my Discord, as I already said. I don't have time to sit and vet people. I'm an e-diva. What are you talking about? E-celebrity diva, dude. Yeah, I think, like, what better debate could you have to elucidate the major differences between Orthodoxy and Catholicism? Video games got better, Catholics got worse. Some. Word is Andrew's going to debate Sam Harris. Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, you know, I feel like we've rounded out 7-8 solid years of debating Catholics and Muslims and atheists. We had a few Protestant debates here and there when they popped up. But unless, yeah, it's like, so if Bishop Barron offered a debate, yeah, sure, of course I'm going to take that. Sam Harris, yeah, I'm going to take that. Westhoff, yeah, I would take that, right? But like anybody with my audience or lower levels, I'm not debating anymore. I'm done. It's time to move on. Atheism, I mean, yeah, if there was a big name, I mean, who is even the big name atheist anymore other than Sam Harris? Like, you don't even hear about the horsemen of the atheism. Like, all that's just dead, dude. You know, so I don't even know who the atheist would be nowadays other than like Sam Harris. So I got invited to an atheist event thing to debate, and the guy was like, yeah, it's going to be, I want you to come and debate. We're going to have big people there. Sam Harris will be there. So I'm thinking, oh, cool, maybe I got a chance to debate Sam Harris. And then the guy's like, yeah, I want you to debate Dennis Prager's relative. What? It's like, yeah, some guy nobody knows. Like, no, dude, I'm not coming to your New York atheism event to debate some no-name dude. I'm out. I'll pass. And I think, again, like, I mean, we're coming up on almost a decade, right? We're just shy of a decade of debating the Catholics and the Muslims. I mean, is anything else going to be said? Oh, I forgot about Cosmic Skeptic, but he won't debate me. Like, he specifically said I'm not going to debate him on theism. He was only wanted to debate some gay politics thing. I'm like, so Destiny and Alex O'Connor both said, I'm only going to debate Dyer if it's politics. And so they know some shit I don't care about. Some gay-ass politics thing. I'm not doing that. Anyway. All right, guys. Everybody have a good night. And I will see you soon.